Everybody, welcome back to Friday Night Tights.
What's up?
There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Friday Night Tights. We almost got started off on time, but I've been spending the whole day trying to hook up my new computer, and it mostly got hooked up, but there's just one thing that won't work. So next week, maybe we'll have it figured out. So we're going to use good old StreamYard and the bad connection and have a good time talking about D23 because Disney sure rolled out a bunch of new stuff today. But is it new stuff? Is it?
No, it's not.
Yeah. So right off the bat, you saw the Mandalorian trailer, right?
I did. I watched it.
Okay. What'd you think?
I liked it. It was very nice. I mean, everything I've seen so far from the Mandalorian has looked very nice. But let's be honest, it's knockoff Boba Fett. That they would have used the character if it wasn't for certain things, which probably has to do with the royalties going back to Lucas. So that's kind of my thoughts on it's Jon Favreau. Anything he does is going to be quality, in my opinion. So, but it looks great. I'm a fan of Gina Carano, so she's in it. And yeah, I think they made him too much like Boba Fett, keeping him silent throughout that trailer, though.
Yeah, that's a curious thing because I have a good friend who was one of I think he was my fourth employee at the comic shop. I don't want to out him, but he cuts trailers for a living now in Hollywood. He's a good friend, and he and I had a very interesting conversation at Comic-Con this year, and we were discussing the Captain Marvel trailers. And when you see trailers with your main character not saying a single word, now I know they probably did it for aesthetic reasons. And before I get started, I like the trailer.
I liked it
really
too.
Good. I thought it was slick as hell. It's the best thing I've seen from Disney Star Wars since probably the Rogue One trailer, which was pretty good. I mean, let's face it. I mean, the trailer was good. But anything that harkens back to old Star Wars is just going to automatically be better with me. Maybe I'm biased, but so the trailer was good. Not going to argue there, but the main character didn't say anything, which maybe that was for aesthetic reasons. For you want to make him kind of like Boba Fett. Well, then why didn't you go with the Boba Fett series? I don't understand, because this is going to take place after Jedi, right? Comics division. Oh, he's muting on me right now, so I guess his dog is freaking out. So
sorry, I'm back.
Yeah, so this is taking place after Jedi.
Yes, this is taking place after Jedi, which I do think is an interesting time period. It's too bad they're not using any of the stuff from like the extended universe, because just because you remove the Emperor Darth Vader doesn't mean the Empire immediately collapses. So you have like all these regional governors that are kind of fighting amongst themselves, as well as the New Republic. So it really is kind of this interesting time period. Unfortunately, they're not using it, but still, after the fall of the Empire is still an interesting time period, whether it's going to be Disney or the extended universe, even though I'd prefer the extended universe.
The one they got rid of and then they're going to pine off of. So
yes, they basically rip it off.
Listen, there's a ton of good sentiment I have seen out there, people saying Star Wars is saved. And listen, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer to Star Wars fans. I want you guys to be happy. That is my hope. My desire is that all Star Wars fans are happy. You can't make everybody happy, but most of them are, okay? That they produce something that everybody can come together on and like, and certainly Jon Favreau's the right guy to do it, and he's probably going to produce something that's very watchable and good. I'm going to cover every episode here on the channel, so maybe it'll win me back. I don't know. But it's still not moving the story forward. This still takes place before the new trilogy. So we're still it's a prequel. It's a prequel. And the problem I have with prequels, they're inherently tragedies, and you inherently know the end. We know where it's going to pick up eventually. It's going to fill in some blanks, and there's a lot of blanks you can fill in with the new trilogy. So I guess there's kind of a blank canvas right there, to be honest with you. But it could be the best thing. I'm cautiously optimistic, but as Mrs. Nerdrotic said in the chat, it's a good looking trailer. probably, I don't think it'll be as woke as previous Disney has been with Jon Favreau, but you don't know. You don't know. Kathleen Kennedy's still in charge. I don't think Star Wars is saved. The only way you could save Star Wars is if you undo The Last Jedi, because the damage to Luke Skywalker, your main character, has been done, and it won't be undone. And
Right.
it's not going to make it okay with me. All right. So you took your very best character and you put him down the crapper. A Boba Fett like series is not going to make that okay. I'm not that interested in the Mandalorians. I think it'll be a good, side story, and we'll go over the gray areas of Star Wars, which is something a lot of people have been interested in. But they've done that, like you said. You know of the EU way more than I do. I'm not. I was a big Star Wars movie fan, comic book fan, but I never got into the video games or any side of the gaming or the books. I have heard some of the stories from the books, and they sound pretty good from the past, but I don't have a lot of knowledge of them. Do you think they'll just copy the best bits out of this, or do you think they'll try to go their own way?
I don't know, man. That's the thing. Disney has a habit of cannibalizing things from the extended universe. So whatever we get is kind of a bastardization, because I mean, there's a lot of really good ideas in there. And I'm by no means an expert. I haven't read any of the books, but I have spent quite a bit of time, perusing Wikipedia, because I've run some, Star Wars tabletop, and I've always used the extended universe stuff, even before the whole Disney thing. And I played quite a few of the video games as well. Read quite a few of the comics. Read a lot of the prequel comics, which were actually pretty good, that took place during the Clone Wars. And I also read quite a bit of the stuff that took place during the transition between the original Star Wars and the prequels. Like I said, there's a lot of good stuff in there. Unfortunately, Disney is just going to cannibalize the good ideas. I mean, they did the exact same thing with Thrawn. Shoot, I'm trying to remember the name of the Star Destroyer, but it's the one that basically sets up the gravity field that can cause ships to drop out of hyperspace. They put that in the Rebels. I mean, there's a few things that Disney has done that I've enjoyed. I really enjoyed the Rebels series, but the problem is it's Disney Star Wars, much like it's Disney Spider-Man. It's not
Exactly.
really Star Wars.
That's the problem with this. Inherently, they're instead of moving forward, they're just trying to draw back on your nostalgia once again to get you into a pay service. Now, this sounds very familiar, Star Trek fans, doesn't it? Doesn't it? So, Star Trek fans who have experienced Star Trek Discovery over the last couple of years will understand what I'm talking about, where you are lured into a pay service with something that's shiny and new. But the Mandalorian certainly looks like the best of the bunch, for sure, as far as Star Wars. Like, the only thing the Cassian Andor thing, I'm not interested in at all, even though I love Alan Tudyk. But
well, and that's the other thing too. That's another perfect example of how we know how this ends. You know?
I mean, it doesn't move anything forward.
No,
we're not getting anything different from this.
I don't have any problems with them telling stories in the Star Wars universe. I mean, because that's exactly what the extended universe was. But the problem with doing those things is if they try to tie it too much into what's going to happen with the sequel trilogy and whatnot. It's like just tell a story that takes place in the Star Wars universe. It would be fine. But I don't think they're going to do that. You're going to get like guest appearances of certain characters, maybe.
And I'll just relate it to what it is for me. I only cared about the Skywalker saga. I know some people are over that, but that's the only one I really cared about. And you crapped all over that character, and I'm kind of out. I don't care. This is mildly interesting to me. It would take a lot to pull me back, and going back into the past again for another prequel is it's a very safe way for Disney to draw back on nostalgia and not move anything forward. And it's not going to undo what has been done. And I hope a lot of people remember that. And it doesn't undo their treatment of fans. I did hear Kathleen Kennedy say something. I'm going to paraphrase what I heard her say, This is a new era for the fans. She said something to that effect. So
really?
I caught what you were saying, Kathleen. I did. How about an apology? How about an apology and maybe a company-wide memo that, sometimes fans get salty. Sometimes they get mean on Twitter, and you need to act like the professionals you are and rise above that, and don't partake in little sniping arguments on Twitter, and don't get political with your arguments on Twitter. And they're not going to do that. They're not going to stop that. And they've signed off on all of that. So until that happens, I'm going to stand firm. I don't know about anybody else. Again, I want Star Wars to be saved. That's my desire. That's partially what we do here. We try to bring our entertainment back to, well, at least to where they fake the sanity. Where we all know how the actors and creatives really felt in Hollywood, and they're telling us right now. What they're doing is being truthful. But we would like them to remember customer service. And remember that, you do have your political and ideological beliefs, and nobody says you can't have them. Just don't think you're right all the time. That's it. I mean, you got to consider somebody else's opinion, consider somebody else might disagree with you, but still want to enjoy the thing you make.
Well, I think you really hit on something when it comes to professionalism. That's something that we kind of don't see anymore. Is like the idea of taking the higher ground just because, someone's being shitty to you doesn't mean you should be shitty back, especially when you're very public, like you're creative and you don't want to turn off fans. And that was like the whole issue with like Marvel Comics, right? Get this garbage out. We want good storytelling. We want good characters. We don't care what they look like. We don't care what their naughty bits are. We just want good storytelling. But you keep injecting your own personal problems with the world and your own ideology into these books. And that's not what fans want. Mm-hmm. And the ones that they say that do want it, don't consume that entertainment.
No, they don't. They don't. That's, oh my God. Doctor Who is the worst case of that. It's all these people who are cheering for Jodie who never watched the show, never tweeted about the show after that.
Yes, because it's more about the cause than it is about
all about the entertainment. So let's real quick go to I'm sorry everybody to start out at this website, but this is what we have to choose from. So the Obi-Wan show. Don't want to talk about going backwards again. Now, so the Mandalorians is probably somewhat repurposed Boba Fett film that they were going to do. That I'm guessing that maybe some of the pre-production notes or the idea of it.
Yes, yeah. I'm pretty sure it was like well, these movies are bombing. Let's do something else. I mean, I don't remember when the announcement was made for The Mandalorian. I know that they were doing a Boba Fett film, and I'm pretty sure they just repurposed it, changed it, and this is what we're getting.
And that's my guess. So what they did is they repurposed this is again my guess. They repurposed the Boba Fett film into the Mandalorian show. And they repurposed the Obi-Wan film into the Obi-Wan show. So we're not the only thing new I heard that was just a rumor, and I haven't heard anything since, was the Luke Skywalker show that we'll talk about in a second. Which
wow, that's something I have not heard.
Again, that's a rumor, and we'll get that. And I'm still sticking by that Disney wants to remake the original trilogy.
Oh, dude, I'm right there with you, man. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to try it.
They are going to do it
with some alterations.
It is a certainty. As much as the sun will rise tomorrow, Disney will remake the original trilogy.
Well, the funny thing is you kind of covered that in your video, talking about that was like the reason why they did, The Force Awakens the way they did was to try and reboot Star Wars under the Disney brand, so to speak, because of the whole thing with royalties going to George.
Yep. And and when they make this new stuff now, like an Obi-Wan show would be a residual that they would have to kick back under George, maybe under that possible rumor, which I don't know if it's true or not. But again, like, why not just do a Boba Fett show if you're have the Mandalorians? Which somebody in the chat, I'm sorry I lost that. I was going to try to hang on to it. Said they've already covered the Mandalorians pretty well in the Clone Wars and in Rebels. I don't know about that's up to you to decide. I was not. Rebels was okay. It had moments of brilliance, and it had moments of what the hell, and then space whales or whatever coming at the end. That was interesting.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get to Obi-Wan. So my pitch for Obi-Wan, and I don't usually pitch stuff, but my pitch for Obi-Wan was The Unforgiven in space.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Obi-Wan, who's one of the last Jedis in the galaxy, and he's in hiding. So he's been beaten down, humiliated. Not that Jedis feel humiliated, but he does. And he's got to watch a baby. He's just got to watch a baby from a distance. That's his whole job. And also, work on meditation so he can contact Qui-Gon Jinn and get in touch with the Force so he can, live beyond death and all that. And, but there's a lot of other things that he could have done. And this would have been an interesting story. And if they go this route, you make it a Western. You do not include a strong and powerful woman who's going to guide him along. You make it about Obi-Wan. You could include a female character and she could be equally right there with him, but not, pulling him along like he's on a leash. Like that's probably going to be the case with this, but you make it like Unforgiven. He's got to do some pretty dark things to protect Luke, and possibly even things that are un-Jedi like, and maybe that's why he's not Obi-Wan Kenobi by the time Star Wars starts.
Yeah, by this time he's starting to
just
start down the road of Ben Kenobi, because he's fallen from his ways, so to speak.
And that would be interesting. I think that would be an interesting one-off. And we'll get to this. Is this going to be is this going to be a one-off series? Let's see. Hello there. Oh wait, we got to do an IO9 voice. It's James Whitbrook. Hello there. The Obi-Wan Kenobi show is officially happening.
Oh my God.
I can't do that for long. Last week, we heard rumors that after there's been years of umming and awing, Ewan McGregor has finally signed a deal to return to the Star Wars galaxy as the legendary Jedi Master. Obi-Wan Kenobi, now Disney's just made it official, announced by the company today during the ongoing D23 Expo in Anaheim, California. And the new series will launch on the media mega corporation. I mean, mega corporation is now a applicable name. Upcoming D+ streaming service set to launch in the US November 12th, blah, blah, blah. We will see McGregor reprise his turn as a younger Obi-Wan Kenobi. The role will be played throughout the 3 Star Wars prequel movies, blah, blah, blah. The current Untitled series, I'm guessing it's going to be called Obi-Wan or Ben or Kenobi.
Obi-Wan, a Star Wars story.
A Star Wars story, which joins the aforementioned Mandalorian and yet another series that follows Diego Luna's Rogue One character, rebel spy Cassian Andor. I have a name for him. I have a name for him that's not very PC, but maybe I'll run with it later. As part of Lucasfilm's slate of programming for D+, will allow Kenobi 8 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith saw the Jedi purged by the fallen. Okay, I know. We all know this. We're not new here. It's been a long road for what's been floating around for rumors since early 2014. McGregor himself has danced around the Star Wars return repeatedly as rumors grew from a standalone movie in that vein. You don't want to put grew and vein in the same sentence. I'm sorry. Of Rogue One or Solo to a trilogy of movies, blah, 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 spinoffs. So we're getting a series. Is this going to be a multiple season series, a one-off series? I'm guessing it's once. They'll do 8 episodes. This is like, we need subscribers. We need the bottom line to look really good, because we're massively in debt right now because we just bought Fox and we were in debt already for D+. And, we're still in debt from Star Wars and Marvel. And yes, they made their money back, but they had to borrow money to buy these things. They didn't just go into their pocket and buy all these things. They actually, get these things financed. It's because it's smart. So I don't know, man. I think a one-off series might be interesting. It's probably a couple of years away. We'll see. I'm not excited. Again, Disney will not go. It'll be PG-13, and this is going to be the problem with some of the other Marvel stuff we're going to talk about. That's potentially interesting.
That's
it's going to be PG-13, and I think this would be something that could be a more adult. The Obi-Wan story.
Absolutely. I mean, it doesn't need to be like Game of Thrones level of like carnal desires, but I definitely think it should be more adult. I mean, definitely on the maybe on the violence side of things.
Yeah, I want to see I want, but again, this doesn't move the story forward. So they've just announced a bunch of stuff we kind of already knew. We knew we knew the Loki series was coming. We knew all these others. So what
we also knew about She-Hulk and Miss Marvel too.
And we did.
So, I mean, this isn't anything really new.
I mean, it was all rumors. So they confirmed a bunch of stuff at D23, and that's great. But that's kind of what Marvel Phase 4 was. Blade was the one surprise out of there that was positive. But again, it's going to be PG-13 Blade. It's not going to be rated R Blade, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And if it's going to be part of the MCU, and maybe it's not, and okay, but then it'll probably be woke. So who freaking knows? Man, who knows?
Dude, I mean, I don't remember if I mentioned this last week or not, but one of the things that we're talking about with Black Panther 2, it being more political. And it's like, yeah, just what we freaking need.
Oh, did they say that?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
No, this was said a while back too.
Yeah, I got you. And damn it, because Black Panther could have been. That was the one thing we were like, oh, it wasn't that political. I mean, it could have been worse.
No, it could have been. It could have been worse.
It wasn't Captain Marvel. Yeah. So Blade with no blood. Exactly. That's what it's going to be. That's it. So Blade with no blood.
Yeah.
I'm going to get to a couple super chats here, and then we're going to go. I want to hear what you guys think. Like, I was trying to rein it in prior to the live stream because I'm a fan. I'm here for the fans, and I don't want to crap all over anybody's enjoyment, but I can't. If you enjoy something, you enjoy something. And if you watch me to let me crap on your enjoyment, then that's kind of on you. That's not on me. The thing is, I'm going to say Star Wars isn't saved. It's got a long way to go, but I was waiting for it. I wish I had the tweet ready to go and I didn't put it. I had a tweet ready to go today going, how many people are going to say Star Wars is saved? And it was just all over the place. I'm like, God damn it.
Star Wars is not saved. I mean, they may have like some nuggets of goodness in there. I am concerned about the final season of Clone Wars, and that's like one of the only things I'm really interested in seeing, because that was a really good show. And the fact that it's being done by Disney, and it was canceled because of the Disney buyout, which that was like the first thing that Disney did. It's gone. It's nixed. Dave Filoni has done. They really should have put him in charge of Star Wars. He, I think, really has the kind of the heart and soul of the fans. And
well, just what I saw from the Mandalorian trailer, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, and this is what
they are the two I think that actually care.
If they were in charge of Star Wars and they didn't go, listen, they wanted to burn some of their very good equity. They wanted to experiment. They're all, hey, let's just bring in a bunch of people with no experience whatsoever as a story group and have them guide the way for Star Wars. And we got what we got. And sure, Disney thought they had a lot of goodwill to burn. I don't think they expected that much would be burned up that quickly, to the point where they try to change information, and they're doing with Marvel too. And what I mean by changing information is really leading on the access. Well, they don't need to lean on the access media. They are a willing partner in this. They will do whatever they need to protect Disney. That's why it's been interesting to see some critical articles come out that will not go unpunished. Bloomberg.
Real quick, I want to address a comment in the chat. So Nicholas Horton, as much as I understand why Dave Filoni did what he did when he had the Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul, I would have loved to see an expansion on that, an actual fight between the two, rather than just a samurai single strike, because they built up to it, and it was so anticlimactic and so not satisfying. That is like one of the big things that kind of pissed me off that come out of Rebels was that. So if they were to actually do an expanded fight between the two, that would be cool. But I don't see it happening. I don't think they're going to link it at all to Rebels. This is going to be, mainly just a prequel to everything, I guess. it's not going to tie into any of the Rebels mythology. My speculation.
Oh, probably not. And I wasn't crazy about Darth Maul in Rebels. He was too mustache twirling for me.
I
know he was a little crazy, but that's I liked the creepier Darth Maul more.
Yeah. Are you talking about like from the Clone Wars?
Yeah.
I would have liked to see more of that too. I thought it was cool that they brought him in, but yeah, they did make him a bit of a mustache twirling.
Yeah, he was supposed to be crazier because he his injuries, and I understand that.
Well, there was a lot of like the dude was like connected to like this mechanical spider for like years, and he was like by himself. So for him to be a bit nutty, makes a lot of sense.
I just didn't like it. It made sense. I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the Clone Wars. I mean, I'm not going to read this whole thing. It's just the Clone Wars is returning February 2020, and that's cool. Yes, I like the show a lot. It's been like one of the best things out of Star Wars since Return of the Jedi, to be honest with you. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's not woke. Hopefully they let Dave Filoni just do it in, of its time, and we'll see what happens. But, listen, you just got to be realistic these days,
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, that's the big thing is you're right. You need to be realistic that the things that you love are probably going to get crapped on by Disney.
Oh God. And beyond Disney. I mean, like, I'm worried like hell for The Expanse. I am. Yeah. I'm just don't. I know they could. It's probably so tempting for them. Just don't.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. But
and Ahsoka Tano is also one of the best things to come out of the Clone Wars series.
God, yes. But wait a minute. Whoa. You hate women. We hate women. We hate women. Wait, that breaks the narrative.
I'm sorry. That's right. I hate women, so I can't like Ahsoka anymore.
Stop it. You're so toxic and masculine.
I know.
Candice Marie for $10. Finally, something to actually look forward to. I feel like the Mandalorian trailer was the best thing I've seen for a while from Disney. Maybe the streaming service will save the franchise. We'll see. Candice.
I'm not holding my breath. I'm really not.
Listen, I'd be very happy to report that I was wrong. Much ado about nothing. I was seeing ghosts. I was seeing SJW ghosts. I know people accuse me of that. No, I really don't. I try to find the best of things, and I've given things a shot, but it's gotten so bad. Admittedly, it's gotten so bad that when it does rear its ugly head, I don't even want to go back to the show. Like it reared its ugly head for Legion, and I never went back. And I meant to. I had every intention to go back and watch the show, and I didn't, because it was in the first damn episode in the first 10 minutes, and I'm like, God damn it, they got my Legion show.
Yeah,
and
it sucks, man. It sucks. There's lots of things where, I was a big fan of Shameless, and then they got really woke this season. I was like, I'm out.
Yep. And people have been going, no, Legion wasn't that bad, and I'll probably go back to it, but I was going to review the whole damn series, and I didn't. Preacher, kind of the same thing. It's not as bad, but I don't know. I could see.
What did they do this season?
Well, it's so far what I've could get through, because it's kind of slow in the beginning, is that it's the Tulip Show. So.
Oh, is that what they did? They turned it into the Tulip Show?
Yeah. It's probably, now I haven't seen all the episodes, so I could be wrong, but I'm just like, right now, it's kind of killed my. I don't want to see anything new right now. It really does. I don't. It's got
I'm right there with you.
Bad. It's killed my interest in things I like, which sucks. Candice Marie for $2. Favreau has a bit more promise. He does. I have faith in Favreau. I don't think Favreau would go woke. Now, there might be examples out there of him doing that. Because I haven't seen every single thing he's done.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the guy who did Swingers. Love Swingers.
and he also did Chef, which was a great movie.
Yeah, so he's done some great stuff and he's done some not so great stuff. But even with his not so great stuff, it was just poor execution. It wasn't woke or anything like that. And I think Star Wars, I think he's the right guy for it, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
For one, he's got a swagger about him that really worked for Iron Man, and Star Wars needs desperately. What the prequels were missing was a Han Solo like character. I've said it for years, and a swagger. And
it was missing a lot of things that would have made it Star Wars.
Yes.
A sense of humor at times.
Well, the newer trilogy is missing that, although they think they have it. That's the thing. Is we got our Han Solo character. No, you don't.
Well, I think here's the funny thing. This is what I say about the prequels. The prequels basically were stories set in the Star Wars universe that didn't feel Star Wars. The new movies are movies that are set in the Star Wars universe that feel like Star Wars that aren't Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't know if they look. I don't know. With the new trilogy, the Force Awakens looked like Star Wars, but it didn't feel like it to me at all. Not from the first second. It felt J.J. Abrams. Felt like Star Trek 2009 J.J. Abrams, and that's what we got, in my opinion. The prequels are better than new Star Wars, though. Let me be on the record as saying that. I would much rather watch the prequels again. And like I said before, the Revenge of the Sith novelization is great. Read it. If they would have adapted that, that was good.
Well, also the Phantom Menace novelization was better than the movie as well.
I'm sure it was. Candace Marie for $2. It was a decent looking Boba Fett.
Boba Fett, yeah.
I like Boba Fett, Candace. That is great. Makita Gut for $2. No money until first season's reaction. Fool me once. Thank you, Makita Gut. I say no money until Disney comes out with I mean, it doesn't have to be the best apology in the world. It could just be, we're sorry, please come back. That's all it had to be. That would go a long way.
Yeah.
But how about, okay, we know that'll never happen.
Oh, absolutely not. I've said it before too, that the easiest way to make amends with the fans is say, guys, we're sorry. We are so sorry. But
they're not going to do that. The next thing they need to do is something they could do, is tell your creatives to shut up. Just shut up. That's it. And I mean, not even nicely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Shut the hell up. Create your work and astound us. And then we'll shut up. I mean, listen, if you come out with something good, even if it's woke, if it's good, if it's presented good, people can't say much about it. They'll say it's woke. I don't know if anything woke can be good though. But something that leans towards your politics, but you execute it well. People can't criticize that, or they won't. Like I said with Doctor Who, if it was written well, I wouldn't have had much to criticize, but it wasn't. So there you go.
Yeah.
And JC Shaggy for $5. It does look great, but because they're using original material and not new trilogy garbage. Yes. I mean, I love the opening scene, and I've seen that before. Tell me where I've seen the stormtrooper masks on spikes. God damn it! It's got to be a Dark Horse comic. Probably. Somebody help me with this. I've seen that imagery before, a game somewhere. So it's not new, but it's cool, and I like that starting. But the problem is when I see stormtroopers now, they just then they turned into the freaking First Order and Hux, and I go right to Hux. Yeah, I'm like, it's kind of like how I feel about the Night King now in Game of Thrones. I saw that really cool. They did they're doing a great 1/6 scale. They call it White Walker. It's an other. I'm like, God dang, that looks great. Except they're easily killed by a girl that flies out of nowhere. And by the way, it doesn't matter where she comes from. That's what the director said. So that actually officially makes Arya a Mary Sue. Yep. So it doesn't matter where she comes from. I was arguing that Arya was not a Mary Sue in Game of Thrones. The director's statement was, it doesn't matter where she came from. That's what he said. So that makes her a Mary Sue. Sorry, Arya became a Mary Sue. She didn't start as one, but she became one. And thanks to the director, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is a series that I do recall in the previous season, they made a point to have Sansa lecture a battle-hardened soldier on the use of boiled leather as opposed to armor. But it doesn't matter where somebody jumps from when you kill the big bad guy you've been building up for 8 seasons. Okay. Interesting logic. Sam Whiskey for $1.99. Check out the Pigs in Space Doctor Who crossover. I'll have to check that. Pigs in Space.
I love Pigs in Space.
I do. I will have to check it out. We'll talk about Doctor Who in a little bit. There's a little bit of news that I don't know what it does to the rumors. Honestly, I don't know how it affects them, but we had the first sign of something since those rumors dropped. And they're filming. What does that? I don't know, but they're definitely filming. Candace Marie for $5. Kit Harington would be a good beta male superhero in the MCU, like all the others. Not surprised he signed on. He signed on? Oh God!
Wait, who signed on?
Kit Harington. Don't say Wolverine. Don't say Wolverine. That's too soon for Wolverine. Kit Harington is joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Who would he play? He can't do Wolverine. He's a good Jon Snow. He's a great Jon Snow. Yeah, don't say Wolverine. Hopefully it's not. We'll find out. What does the chat say?
He'll be Moon Knight is what they're saying.
Moon Knight.
No.
He doesn't have the range for Moon Knight at all. I'm sorry. I love Kit. The reason he's a great Jon Snow is because Jon Snow is
rumors of Wolverine or Gambit.
Jon Snow. Oh, well, both of those. Okay. So Jon Snow is stoic. He's a Stark. Kit Harington is perfect for that. Gambit is funny and charming and sexy, and
all those things he's not.
He's not those things. Wolverine is badass and charming. He's got swagger, and Kit Harington is not any of that either. So no. And neither is Daniel Radcliffe, by the way.
Oh, but yeah, I wanted to bring that up last week. we talked about that after the show, the whole thing with Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine.
But no, that's why Robert Pattinson. I know he's got his defenders. You will have to convince me he's not Beta Batman. I could be convinced otherwise, but no.
For me, it's one of those like we have to see him do it for me to be convinced. He's an all right actor. He's not my first choice for Batman.
Not my first 300 choices, but we'll see. I've been wrong before. It's not as bad as Daniel Radcliffe for Wolverine. I'll say that. Steve O for $4.99. Hail Gary. I predict that the Mandalorian will be awesome until they introduce Amy Schumer as a Force-sensitive love interest to the bounty hunter. That's Mrs. Nerdrotic said as much in a tweet. Or not a tweet, in a comment earlier. She said, hey, look, the trailer looks slick, and that's what it does. But you notice there was very little plot. Our main character didn't say anything. We had Gus from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, who's a great, I don't know the guy's, I forgot the guy's real name, but it's Gus. Great actor, fantastic actor. It looks like it's got a cool cast, but all we got out of it was, okay, bounty hunting is a gray area in the Marvel universe, and you might have to back some people. And, if this is if this is a story on how the First Order gets made, I still don't care, because the execution was so terrible. And I put up a tweet a couple days ago, and it was sent to me via email. I need to give this person credit, because I forgot to do it on a tweet, but they sent me an email. They said they don't have a Twitter. And it was I'll get in a second here, but it was a Snoke action figure on clearance at Walmart for 75 cents.
That's so funny.
For 75 freaking cents.
I saw that.
And here's a pic, and it's I want to it's from Magnolia e-publishing emailed me this. They don't have a Twitter or anything, but the sticker says it was $12.93 and it got marked down to 75 cents. It turns out kids don't want to play with a meaningless bad guy, and it doesn't even have like cut in half action. And yeah, it's like once you kill a character in canon, nobody cares, even if you go into the backstory. That's why that really went into, listen, the fandom menace played their part in Solo, but one of the biggest problems Solo had before it even came out, and I said this the day they first announced the film, I don't want to see the history of a character who just died badly. You ruined the character for me forever. I don't want to see origins of this character. If you de-aged Harrison Ford and did a new story with him, I wouldn't want to see it because he died so badly. Not as bad as Luke, but pretty bad. It ruined the character forever. So I want you to keep Luke Skywalker and Han Solo in mind right before you spend gobs of money and want to jump back to the Mandalorian, which is not going to, it's going to tell a Mandalorian story, but it's not going to move the overarching story of Star Wars forward. That ends this December with J.J. Abrams and a horrible new trilogy that's thankfully coming to a merciful end. And it'll probably be a huge mess. But I will predict right now, and you can agree with this. You've said it before. We'll hear the better than Empire, better than Jedi reviews.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Talk about how awesome it is because the shills are going to shill.
Yep.
But there's one thing I will disagree with you on. As much as you are correct, it's not moving the story forward. But like I said, it's something you can tell stories in. It's a broader universe, and I don't mind seeing those stories being told as long as they're isolated away from the Skywalker trilogy that or saga they just ruined.
I didn't say you couldn't tell stories. I just said it doesn't move the overarching story of Star Wars forward. No, it doesn't.
No, I agree with you.
What you're doing is you're playing around in the past and you're telling, you're filling holes. It's history. That's it.
Yeah,
it's history because there is a canon, there is a timeline, and there's just this recent trend, and I mean recent since George Lucas started it with his prequels. They've done prequels before, but prequel mania started with George Lucas. Okay,
it really did,
and it's a horrible way of storytelling, and a bunch of writers and screenwriters used to be dead set against it, and all of a sudden they're not because they're getting paid a lot. But somewhere out there is J.K. Rowling herself saying that prequels are a terrible idea.
And they're inherently
and she's doing them. And then she went and did one.
Yeah.
But it's because it is a bad idea because you lose epicness because you're tied in by your ending can't be epic because you can't tell a bigger story than, as bad as it was, than the new trilogy. That's your big story. And so that sucks. This one's automatically going to suck because it has to stay within its sandbox. Right. And it might be a really cool sandbox and end really well, but it can't be epic as the new trilogy because they've already fucked that up.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is that I always wanted to know what happened in the Clone Wars, and then I got it, and I was like, this is nowhere near as good as the shit I made up in my head. And that's like one of the biggest problems with trilogies, or excuse me, prequels, is that your expectations will not live up to what is being produced. Flat out.
Yep.
It never will.
And
and that's why it's bad.
When I was a young buck and I saw Star Wars, they talked about telling the prequels, it was out there since Star Wars came out. George Lucas had talked about it. It was talked about in Bantha Tracks, but when Star Wars was over, George was done. I remember hearing quite a bit like, nah, I'm done. I'm not going to do anymore. And he changed his mind later. It wasn't part of this big, massive plan. He wanted to wait for the technology. That's the BS he was spinning. But I recall
that is
hearing a lot of places that George was done. I'm not going to do any more of these. And then he changed his mind, which is fine.
Well, initially, I heard that he originally planned 9 movies, starting with A New Hope.
Yes,
because we were supposed to get Luke's real sister that was not Leia. That was the reason why they kissed in Empire. But for whatever reason, he decided to condense everything.
Well, he didn't. He didn't have 9 stories when he did Star Wars. I don't. When he did Star Wars, I think he just thought he was going to be doing one movie. I don't think he planned on doing a sequel. Maybe he hoped for it, but the whole New Hope stuff that came later with a re-release. And maybe he just knew it would be that successful. But considering what we hear from listen, I was 7, so I didn't pay attention to everything. But there was no New Hope. There was Star Wars.
When they
were making the Star Wars sequel, they were going to call it Star Wars 2. Splinter of the Mind's Eye came out.
Yes.
Then the whole 9 thing came. 9 that was talked about like after Empire, and I think I read it in a Starlog. I can't quite remember where I read it or heard it in a comic shop. And so but I never thought we'd see them. I never thought we'd see all 9. Even then, I'm like, nah, there's no way we're going to see these things. So when the prequels were announced, I was surprised. And when they did the new trilogy, I was surprised. Maybe they shouldn't have been made. At least the new trilogy shouldn't have been made. But hindsight's 2020.
I would argue that the prequel shouldn't have been made either.
Pac-Man for $2. Gary, I need those everyday live streams badly. Well, you will be getting them. I've just got to work out my technology problems here, which is it comes back down to my internet. So I'm gonna have to probably change services and do something. But we got close to using the new computer tonight, which was good. Progress, not perfection. Candace Marie,
it's about the journey, my friend.
Thank you for all the super chats, by the way. Raucous Wolfstar for $7. All they have to do is adapt the Kenobi book by John Jackson Miller. That's all. It's that easy. No Obi-Wan Kenobi. Raucous, I will just take your word for it. Yes, adapt that book. They won't. I like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I like that. I might. I'll be sure to give you credit for that. And thank you, Pac-Man, for the $2. Fizzenthorpe for $10. Speaking about the Obi-Wan and the Mandalorian, the secret sauce is what the secret sauce is going to be. She's the key to everything. She's in trouble and she needs our help. It's so true. Oh my God. It's getting predictable.
It really is, man. It's the new formula.
She's the key to everything. She's the destroyer of worlds.
She's gonna solve all the problems, cure cancer, stop nuclear wars, prevent the sun from exploding. Yeah, that's
because of empathy. Because she loved more than man did. Man just creates wars and bad stuff and bridges. Let's go to Bounding into Comics. Let's talk about some of the Marvel stuff. I was going to say schlock, but we'll say stuff.
That's pretty much what it is.
So again, nothing really new here. We heard rumors of She-Hulk and Miss Marvel. Well, Brie Larson blabbed about the Miss Marvel thing. She-Hulk, I did a podcast right when they announced Captain Marvel, when they started making Captain Marvel kind of into the Superman of Marvel. And I said it was a bad idea then. And this was before Brie Larson got cast. I'm just like, this is a bad idea. There's a better female character out there. Now, this is prior to SJW Marvel, but She-Hulk is that better character. I'm a big fan of the John Byrne She-Hulk. Listen, Miss Marvel and She-Hulk are just girl versions of man character or male characters, man characters, whatever. There is characters that are not girl versions of male characters out there that they could lean into, Nebula,
like,
Gamora, Miss Marvel. Well, no, that's still from Captain Marvel. There's original characters out there that they can use. On most of them are with the X-Men still, but dude, you got your X-Men now. Lean into that. So She-Hulk, unfortunately, will probably be used in the most woke way possible. So I can't be excited about it because she's a power attorney, and they'll just use that to the nth degree. But I don't think it'll be as bad as Miss Marvel. I think Miss Marvel is going to be probably the wokest thing Marvel's done. I don't think it's going out on a limb and saying that. I think I'm stating the obvious, actually. But considering what we've gotten from the comic book, which I only know from the reviews from your boy Zach and other people, I would not read this comic book. So tell the people about Kamala Khan Comics Division.
Sure thing. So anyway, I read the original series that came out several years ago. It was okay. It bashed on quite a bit with on white people, but it was written by what's her name? G. Willow Wilson. So basically, she is a Inhuman. She gets her powers during the whole thing with the Terrigen Mist traversing the world. And she's a big fangirl of the original Miss Marvel. So she turns in to Miss Marvel because that's one of her powers, is like the ability to change her body. It's very similar to Mr. Fantastic, except she has the ability to make herself look like other people as well. And the way the powers are using, they're not exactly very flattering. Because she'll do like these big old like hammer hands, and it looks really kind of freakish.
Giant fists.
Yeah, giant fists. But
there you go. That's a great picture.
Part of the problem is, I mean, it was very cutesy, very kidsy. It was something I think was definitely meant to be for teen girls, which is fine. But ultimately, it really didn't kind of carry any weight, because that was kind of the problem with what was getting into Marvel Comics during this time period, is that there was no threat to the character. And there is no challenges to the character, other than, oh my God, I'm a teenager, and oh my God, I'm in school. It's not like the challenges that Peter Parker faced as a teenager.
And what I got out of the reviews, and this isn't me reading the books because I didn't want to waste my money on this stuff. And I'm sure you could probably go check with young Ripa. I mean, that poor guy has read all of these books, so got to give him all the credit for suffering through that. I can only suffer through so much, and Star Trek Discovery is enough. But they would write, like Star Trek Discovery, they would set up ridiculous scenarios to get political points across that were ridiculous and unnecessary and pandering. And it was just atypical for SJW Marvel, which was the precursor to everything that's going on in entertainment right now.
Basically.
And that's why there's such a backlash. Of course, we're getting the same attacks. Something I do need to address in a second is, the Phantom Menace has been under a lot, been assaulted. A few members of the Phantom Menace have been attacked over their use. On Twitter. Okay. No, if it was physically attacked, I would do a video on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't just brush that under the rug. We'll say verbally attacked in the same basics, superficial, disingenuous ways that Twitter does. And yes. One of our friends used a parody of a logo and got attacked for that. We'll talk about that in a second. But okay. So Marvel Studios announced 3 brand new Disney Plus shows: She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel. Okay, so Miss Marvel, we know, will probably be the most woke thing D Plus will do.
Yes, absolutely. Based off of what they say in there too.
We got a logo. So again, I don't want to totally piss all over D23, but it looks like I'm not there. Did they show any? Is there any footage of any of these shows? Did they show some of the even with the Star Wars shows? Did they show footage beyond the Mandalorian?
Everything I've seen, I've been reading, and again, these are coming from the articles I sent you and the stuff I saw on IO9. Everything is just announcements. Okay. There isn't any footage. I think a lot of the stuff is going to begin filming like next year. There is no casting for Miss Marvel, and that's the same thing for She-Hulk. There hasn't the big 3 that they announced: Moon Knight, She-Hulk, and Miss Marvel, there is absolutely no casting yet.
So so these must have been just recently decided on then to give the go ahead, because I mean, God, you can cast somebody in like a couple months, maybe, you would think. I don't know for sure, but you would think. The Miss Marvel show was reported earlier in the day and will reportedly see frequent guests of Guilty Feminists. We'll see frequent guest of the Guilty Feminist podcast and staff writer Bashika K. Ali writing and show running, as Miss Marvel production was confirmed to be developed back in May of 2018 by Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, boss Kevin Feige. So I was curious about Bashika K. Ali's IMDb, which I'll get to in just a second here.
Yeah, I mean, this is somebody with really no writing experience that is basically a showrunner.
So what's going on? So Marvel has become such a widget maker that they can pretty much get. I mean, I could run a show. You could run a show. Lucas W. and Cracklin can run a show, because Disney basically sets everything up where, you're doing as little as possible work, especially with directing films. Now, running a TV show is a different beast, and that's going to be very difficult for someone to do with this much experience.
Well, that's it. That's it right there.
That's it.
Wow. Okay.
There are people who have been busting their ass for years in Hollywood. And I mean white, black, Asian, Latino, Filipino, busting their ass. And they've got to be looking at this going,
what the fuck?
Motherfucker.
Well, even like the J.J. Abrams appointee, that one chick, she has like she has a little bit of experience, but it's like, this is not somebody you would hand a franchise over to.
And we see the end result with this. I mean, I've gone over in detail with Doctor Who by covering every episode and looking into the writers and pointing out that the writers were not only inexperienced in science fiction, they were political playwrights, and that's about all they had. Beyond Chris Chibnall, the showrunner, if he's still the showrunner, I'm not really sure about that, to be honest with you. But yeah, good for her. I mean, hey, take the money. I mean, don't turn down the money. No shade on her whatsoever. And I'm sure we'll get a wonderful show out of that.
I'm sure
it'll be great.
I'm sure it'll be fantastic.
Just awesome. Then we're going to get to what could be exciting, but also could be a complete train wreck, and it is Moon Knight. So we'll get to Moon Knight and we'll get back to the super chats in a second. I just lost my place here. Excuse me. So Moon Knight. Moon Knight is a character a bunch of us have been wanting. I love the character. If you know, there's multiple ways you can go, quite literally, with Moon Knight, as you know, comics division, because he's not just Batman. Okay, no. I mean, he's actually a multi-layered, multi-personality. Now they put in the multi-personality thing because they've come up with so many versions of Moon Knight through the past. The one I remember the most,
how they did it. Okay.
Well, the one I remember was when I was a kid. Was Mark Spector Moon Knight and Bill Sienkiewicz, or who's complete nut on Twitter.
Oh God,
and it was such a great run. But Moon Knight's a kick-ass character, like the reason I'm saying is don't look at him as Marvel's Batman. He's not. Yeah. He's way more unique than that. And they
is the cheap summarization. He's basically Batman dressed in white with a mental illness.
Yeah, and hopefully they won't just do that, because there is this could be very good if given to the right person, but it has to be rated R. This is like something that has to be Daredevil. That has to be. Actually, I'll name your guy right now who'd be the perfect guy for this. Drew Goddard, who conceived Daredevil. Now he had to kind of take off, but he's the one who kind of put the show together. He did Cabin in the Woods, and he's kind of a protege of Whedon, but probably as crazy, but really good. If he was running the show, it would probably be pretty damn good. Now, will it have a propensity to be woke? Sure. Yes, absolutely. It's 2019. I'm going to
Well,
say yes.
there's the thing too is like, how are they going to do the character? Because like like we discussed, one of his traits is the dude has, multiple personalities.
Who's the oh my God, who's the guy who's writing or was writing for it?
Max Bemis.
Yeah, I'll probably lean heavily into his
Yeah.
run. That's my guess.
Well, the other thing too is like, how are they going to handle the mental illness aspect of it? Because that's something that we don't necessarily want to talk about because we don't want to stigmatize it, and it's gonna. If anything, that is something
that's a good point.
They can get very woke with dancing around that, because that was like one of the big things with the new Bloodlines video game with the Malkavians. Malkavians are basically, crazy vampires. And, are they going to dance around that subject of mental illness with the character? So that's yeah, you're not going to get anything really good or interesting out of that because people are just not going to want to.
No, you're absolutely. That's a great point. That's been the biggest problem with writing right now. It's why we're not getting complex female characters, and we're not getting well, that's the problem with them writing women right now. They're so afraid to write them complex because they don't want to be looked at. Whoever the writer is, generally a male, doesn't want to be looked at as sexist. So they're writing these wooden, perfect beings that are saintful and always, the mentor. And yeah, we can't have women with drug addiction anymore. Nobody can as much as raise their hand towards one anymore, because that would be violence towards women. You'd be condoning violence towards women if a woman experiences some violence in a fictional story.
Yeah, and that was the thing I thought was really funny, because several years ago when X-Men Apocalypse came out, there was a poster of Apocalypse choking Mystique, and you had Marilyn Manson's ex-girlfriend talking about violence against women. It's like, this is a superpowered being versus another superpowered being. This has nothing to do with domestic violence. Yep. Why? This is the reason why entertainment is dying, because you're literally sucking the fun out of everything. And I can't wait until we're 10 years from now and everyone's looking back at how shitty these movies and characters have been, because they didn't decide to inject any kind of pathos into them, any kind of struggle or any kind of dimension to them. But that's the thing. It's funny how people are, oh, this is so awesome, Captain Marvel, she's fighting the patriarchy, but she's as interesting as a plank of wood. But she's fighting the patriarchy, and that's the more important thing, Gary. It's the most important thing, taking on the patriarchy, tearing the system down. It's like, whatever, dude. Just write a fucking good story. That's all we care about.
And that's not what we're gonna get.
No, it's not.
We're absolutely not going to get that. And yes, Amy Schumer as a wisecracking Jen Walters was really the only way to go. It really is.
God. that makes a part of my soul die hearing that. If that actually was to happen, that would that's it. I'm done. I'm checking out. No, I'm kidding. Fuck. Where was I going with it? There's something I wanted. Oh, Captain Marvel. Speaking of Captain Marvel, did you see the new announcement for Dark Captain Marvel?
Yes, I did. I just laughed when I heard this. I'm like, oh my God, they're trying to give her complexity. And what are they ripping off the Dark Phoenix?
I guess so.
Or Dark Knight Returns. I'm not going to buy. You know what? I might read it for laughs, but so they are dying to give her something.
Yeah,
so they're going to have her go dark. And honestly, like, Jean Grey wasn't much of it. I mean, she was a character that existed in the books. I can't say she was when we were kids, she was anybody's favorite. I mean, we liked her as part of the team, but I can't remember any of my friends going, Jean Grey's my favorite character. Again, we liked her as part of the team, kind of like Vision. Vision was sometimes I never heard that much, but he was a cool looking character that was a good part of the Avengers. So I guess I get their logic, but this is, didn't they just hire Zoe Quinn to work for Marvel?
They did, but this is, I believe, actually a Kelly Thompson book. I had to check it.
They're giving her another chance because she's been so successful before with the other 2 Captain Marvel titles that have been canceled, written by her.
I guess so.
Oh my God.
The design, actually, the artwork I saw was actually pretty interesting. I thought it was a cool look, but this is something that nobody fucking cares about. Nobody likes the character. No, and the joke was just some guy had a funny comment, and it was exactly what I was thinking too. His comment was, "So this is business as usual then," because Captain Marvel, if you read Civil War II, was basically the villain in that book. She's not.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
good
listen, we'll get a number 1 with 27 variants. I was working on a video. I don't know if I'm going to come out with it now, but I was doing, it was concerning the Star Wars comic, and the Star Wars comic is the one that came out in 2015 is said to have sold 1 million copies. I call utter bullshit on that.
Well, they're saying issue 1 sold 1 million copies.
Yes, Star Wars number 1 from 2015. They said it sold over 1 million copies, and that's what Comic-Con is reporting. Let me get to my calculator here. So at 2015, let's just aim high. Let's say there was 3,000 comic stores. So that means each comic store ordered 33,000 copies. Bullshit. So they it is said that they included a bunch into loot crates, and they probably counted that. They probably overshipped, and they're probably counting sales to like Barnes and Noble. And even if we double it, say there's 3,000 comic stores in the rest of the world outside of America, then that's still 15,000 copies per comic shop. And not even Midtown would order that many copies. I mean, Midtown might order 30,000, but Comic Outpost, the Comics Experience Outpost, run by Brian Hibbs, would order probably 100. I mean, so I don't know how. I think they printed him. I'm pretty sure they printed 1 million, and they probably sold a lot, like a lot. It probably was the best-selling comic book. 1 million comic book, I call bullshit. Show me some actual numbers on that, please. Like some breakdowns.
So that
Comic-Con says 1 million. Okay.
Comic-Con, really?
Yeah, 1 million. And I mean, all you had to do is think about it for a second. You're like, huh? And okay, so if I was running the shop, I would go nuts on it. I would probably have, tried to get a couple of variants. Maybe I might have ordered 500. That would be like going crazy in my store. Like,
one thing I was actually really shocked, when I got back into comics and I really started seeing the numbers, I figured, with the most popular book, maybe like each shop would sell maybe like around 200. Boy, was I sorely mistaken. A lot of it's way lower than you actually think. Maybe 50 to 100 on a really good selling book. And that's just kind of,
when times were good. Times were good. And like when Batman Hush was going around, I would buy 100, and that was a good selling book. I started to go crazy later on when the shop got more successful, but like even the biggest hit book, I would maybe order 200, and I would sell out. But that doesn't make up for the issue number 5, which would sell 1/4 of that number, and then it would stop selling, by issue 6, 7. Yeah. And that stuff started happening long before what we're dealing with now.
Yes.
So, I mean, listen, the direct market basically has been hospice for the comic book industry for like 2 decades. It just doesn't have a chance. I mean, the independent thing is the only way to go at this point.
It's unfortunate.
They're canceling Star Wars number 1, by the way. Marvel canceled it. 75 is the last issue. It was their most consistent selling book. They were selling 40,000 on average, 40,000 copies a month, and they canceled it. Well, the reason they're canceling it is suspected by IO9, and I actually agree with IO9 on this one, to get rid of the original trilogy characters, and they're going to relaunch it with the new characters. When you could just keep this title going and have another Star Wars book. You could call one Star Wars Legacy. I mean, Marvel did it all the time. You just retitle the other old one. So you call the old one Star Wars Legacy or something like that. And then you just make another Star Wars number 1. No, they're stopping it at 75. and they're going to relaunch it. Now they could relaunch it with the original trilogy characters, but it's really looking like they're going to use the new character. Why would you do that? You know, your original trilogy characters could live, but your original trilogy characters could live forever in the comic books.
Yes, they could.
They could live forever. Why? And I'm asking the audience, this is a rhetorical question.
I know.
Why would you get rid of the original trilogy characters? Unless maybe you were paying a residual to George. Yeah. Maybe. Just thinking.
That's so fucking stupid.
Yep.
Especially when you're, well, this is really funny because my latest video, I was talking a lot about what the what's been going on with Sony and Spider-Man, and how if Sony walked away, and it's something I didn't think about, and I completely forgotten about this stuff. With what happened with Fox back in 2015, you had the death of Wolverine, and that was one thing I didn't realize, that the death of Wolverine was because of the Fox situation. But they canceled the Fantastic Four because of the Fox movie, and there was some other stuff going on there. But someone actually made a comment of, if they did that, it's stupid. It would be suicide, and I could probably pull up the comment that the guy made.
No,
and I was like, that's the point.
I mentioned that in my first. I mentioned that in my video when I announced that Spider-Man was leaving. I'm like, that was my concern. I don't give a crap about Sony or Marvel. Spider-Man sucks at Marvel, and he'll suck at Sony. That's my take on it, because he's been sucking for a while, because it's not really Spider-Man. If people, it's normie Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man for people who've never read the Spider-Man comics.
But we're talking about the comic. They were talking about canceling the actual Marvel comic.
I understand that. That's what I mentioned in my video. I said they're going to do the same exact thing that they did to the Fantastic Four and the X-Men when they were having the rights issues. And don't forget, they've had rights issues with Spider-Man before, and that's why Ben Reilly was invented. So they're going to do the same thing. If they can't get Spider-Man full pop, what they can do is strangle the brand for Sony. And Disney is big enough and stupid enough to do something like that, permanently damaging the biggest character in your in their I'm losing words now. It's the biggest character for Marvel. It's Marvel's brand.
It's their flagship character.
So, but they would do that. And I mean, not that it matters right now, because the comic books suck anyway. So I know Spider-Man's made a resurgence, but to me, damage is done.
It has. In my video, I pointed out that last year, July of last year, it sold 50,000 copies. In July of this year, 2 years later, it's like 1,300. So it's double what it was before. This is like, I wouldn't say the tail end of Slot's run, but yeah, it's pretty much the tail end of Slot's run. Slot did a lot of damage to the character. You know, nobody likes the Slot stuff. Maybe there probably are, but it really is garbage tier. And
so the only risk they run is hurting Spider-Man in the comics, which don't sell very well anyway. But what they can do is harm Sony. And if Sony wants to take this route with them and they go into some kind of war, then Marvel could just basically cancel the character everywhere else, where the brand, there's no identity to it anymore, because you just don't see it anywhere. And all Sony could make is movies. And listen, Sony would benefit from Spider-Man being out there as toys and on cups and stuff like that. And I don't know what the deal has anything to do with it, but Marvel could strangle the brand. I'm not saying they would, but they could.
It's funny.
And then well, hang on.
Okay.
So the end of this is it strangles Sony's biggest franchise, forcing them to either come to the table, or it devalues the company so much to where there's people thinking about buying Sony right now. I keep hearing a rumor that CBS wants to buy Sony, other parties want to buy Sony, and then I've heard rumors that Sony wants to buy something. So we'll see what happens, but the streaming wars play into this as well. You know, because Sony's not going to have its own streaming service. Now they've got, and we're talking about Sony, the movie division, not the video game division. They're two different things.
Yeah. It's just completely different. But at 113,000 copies, Spider-Man is number 3. That's still pretty low for Spider-Man, honestly, because it was selling like 200,000 copies in the 90s. Right now, the top book is at 185,000 is House of X, which I've given up on the X-Men at this point because of how Marvel has been treating them. You know, I was really pissed off with the whole conclusion of Inhumans versus X-Men, which was just a disastrous event.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was boring. You know, and listen, I sold my shop right around Avengers versus X-Men, which ended horribly. And man, that thing was selling like crazy, but the ending just killed it. Oh my God, people were pissed. All right, so let's get to the super chats here. Fizz and Thorpe, I read that one for $10, but thank you very much, Fizz and Thorpe. Mr. T for $5. Happy Friday. Great show. A reboot of the original Star Wars trilogy directed by JJ. It will finally put the nail in the coffin. Mr. T, that nail is in the coffin. It is pounded in. It is rusting. The coffin has been buried and the body is decaying. What John Favreau is trying to do is act like Dr. Frankenstein, dig up the coffin and
cobble the body back together with a bunch of different body parts from different people.
He just fired up the electricity. They put out the Mandalorian trailer, which is just a trailer, folks, and he's screaming, "It's alive! It's alive!" And then there's some Star Wars fans out there, some YouTubers going, "Star Wars is saved."
Yeah, it's not. It's really not.
It's not. I would love it to be, but I mean, for me, it could never happen because they would have to redo Luke's story. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, it ended with Return of the Jedi, and that's good with me. And this new trilogy stuff that doesn't even count in my head, just like Star Trek Discovery. Candace Marie for $5. We got this cover.com just reported sources saying Maul is in Obi-Wan series and Maul is getting his own series too. Don't ruin my Maul.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy for Ray Park, who's like really cool. He was really cool.
Ray Park probably won't play him. Maybe not. They will get him.
Maybe why not? He looks fine.
No. Ray Park, by the way, I've had the pleasure of meeting Ray Park. He is one of the nicest guys you ever meet.
He was super cool to well, one of them wasn't my kids, but little Indigo and Anthony at Comic-Con. Yeah, he was very, very cool to them when I told them that's Darth Maul, and they're like, "What?" And he's all, "Yeah, I am." It was really cool. Good moment.
Yeah. It was pretty funny because like a dumbass, I got my picture signed and I left it. And he goes running out the picture and he's like, "Hey, you forgot this." I was like, "Oh, thank you very much." Like, he did not need to do that.
That is cool.
Was guys. It's like, that's so cool, dude. I mean, I was totally gushing at that point. But yeah, nicest guy, awesome martial artist. Totally fucking respect the dude.
Star Wars is not dead. It's just getting zombified, and that's worse. That's just what we said. Sam Whiskey, you were way ahead of me on that one, my friend. You were Nerdstradamus right there, my friend, for $4.99. Thank you very much. Shane War. Oh God, I don't want to ruin your last name. Wartzik. Shane Wartzik for $2. The new Clone Wars is eps they already recorded. That is true. That's a good point, Shane.
Was that stuff they already recorded, or they already storyboarded out? Because I know that they released 2 episodes that were basically the pre-renders that they did. So I know that they already had the season planned out, but I don't think they were actually made yet, or rendered, I should say.
Yeah, I know they had some shows done. I don't know how far they were done, but the last time, God, it was a couple of years ago we reported on that. But I can't honestly remember how much they had done. Chris Stanley for $5. Hey Gary, did you hear about Miss Marvel series announced a D+? Thoughts? Well, we answered that, Chris. Not excited, don't care. It's going to be completely woke, but I'll review it. What the hell? I got a job to do and I'll do it. Dark Star 76 is that? Yeah, Dark Star 76 for $5. I have faith in Favreau not going woke if he is in control. Do you think Kennedy will have final say or keep out of it? I think with Favreau's stuff, I'm gonna guess she's kind of keeping out of that one. With Filoni involved,
I think she's more of a figurehead at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I'm pretty sure Disney maybe not. I don't know. It's really hard to say. If they basically said that, the shit's tanking. We're not going to fire you because you're female, and that would be bad, especially after Me Too. So they're just going to, put her in a corner. She can sit there at her desk, say she's in charge, but she's really not kind of running anything. There was another thing you probably talked about it. I didn't. I kind of wish I did, but there was the lead, the story group. She was, I don't remember her name, but she was a black female, and she just mysteriously disappeared from the scene, from the story group.
Most of the story group, yes, she did, and that's true. Most of the story group had disappeared. I had asked Jeremy Griggs, who was at Star Wars Celebration. I was supposed to go, couldn't. And I said, did they do any panels with the story group? Did they come out at all this year? And they didn't. They did. There's no video of it. And man, they were rolling them out previous years. I don't know if they had, like, Pablo Hidalgo is still part of it, obviously.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, there's missing elements. So I think they've gone through some people, and I'm wondering if it even really still exists. The story group was there to keep canon straight and to set the agenda. That part's my opinion. I think they were there to set the agenda. I have no evidence of that. It's just, I'll look at the finished work, but but yeah, I think Favreau and Filoni don't need Kennedy. Kennedy, yeah. We'll see how long she's around. Rise of Skywalker, I think everything well, she signed her 3-year deal. I think she'll run that out and then retire.
Probably.
Yep. Naru Takuken for $5. The First Order would have been more intimidating if their top general didn't look exactly like Review Bra.
Kiri Hart, that's her name. Kiri Hart.
Kiri Hart, yes.
Yeah, she was head of the Lucasfilm story group.
Yeah, the First Order would be more intimidating if we actually knew, like, how they came about, where they came from. These are questions you had to answer. We did find out where the Empire came from. They came, they basically repurposed the Republic. They gave us a little backstory, and we got enough. We don't need it over explained because it's Star Wars. The problem is they thought, they being the powers that be, Lawrence Kasdan, J.J. Abrams, in typical J.J. Abrams fashion, the least amount of work, the better. So he's really good at bullshitting, as I've said before. So I think he's really good at bullshitting himself, and I think he's good at bullshitting other people, convincing them that he's doing more work than he is by throwing money at a situation, making it look more expensive, and making it, and people just get confused and they think they're seeing something intricate on the screen because, visually, Star Wars, the effects are good, everything's good, but the story is wafer thin and it makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think JJ and Kasdan thought they could get away with that. They didn't explain a lot in Star Wars, but they actually did. They were just talented. So they didn't over-explain.
They added the element of mystery. They told you enough that you needed to know, like the whole thing with talking about disbanding, the Senate, which was a remnant of the Republic. I mean, you got things, but there was enough mystery to it. They didn't need to go and over-explain things.
Talking Pulp for $10. I heard it on a good authority that Haley Joel Osment will be Wolverine.
Good old Talking Pulp.
Oh my God, that'd be great. Thank you for the $10. Destiny Captain asks once again, will there be Toxic Mailbag today? No, we do not do Toxic Mailbag on Friday Night Tights. Destiny Captain. There will be no Toxic Mailbag until this office is done, until I have my new computer set up done, which hopefully will be done by Sunday, by the Inquisition. Cross your fingers. I've got a lot of stuff I still need to take care of, unfortunately. But thanks for asking, Destiny. I will get to it. Tech Guy for $2 made me laugh. A hero of ice and fire, John Snowflame. Now that's a good part for Kit Harington. Snowflame. No, we shouldn't joke. Poor guy had to go to rehab. But whatever. I went to rehab. I went to a lot of rehabs. He's got Kit Harington's got about 9 more to go to catch up to me, buddy. Lori Wilson for $5 going to get Shatner's autograph at Colorado Springs Comic-Con tomorrow. Oh, brilliant.
Awesome.
What should I say to him? Stay off STD? No, Lori, tell him to be in the Orville. Tell him he needs to have a cameo in the Orville. We need to make that happen. That would be such a kick in the nuts to Star Trek Discovery, and it would be such a victory for our friend and champion of good storytelling right now, and the only one, Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
So yes, he did put out a weird tweet saying, "What's disco got to do with Star Trek anyway?" I obviously, listen, the man's 80. So he's been on this earth 30 years longer than I have. So there might be some subtext there I'm missing. But I have no idea. But to me, that tweet just sounds like Star Trek Discovery sucks, which maybe he's on board. I don't know. Like I speculated, I forgot where I probably did this on a live stream somewhere. I can't remember, but I speculated that I did this on the Exozone. So William Shatner was at Star Trek Las Vegas, and he probably talked to people and got the word on the street about Star Trek Discovery because he probably didn't know much about it. And
he probably didn't give a shit.
People aren't, listen, it's got its fans, but it's a very, very small group of fans. And these are basically the pop vinyl newbies that these are the fans of Star Trek who don't like old Star Trek. It's old and stupid looking. Those Star Trek fans, and certainly they can be Star Trek fans. That's fine. But again, I will state that I was at Star Trek Las Vegas. I was pulled aside by a lot of people with disco shirts, with disco uniforms on, actors from the show saying that they watched our videos, and they watched mine in particular. The actor who pulled me aside said that they listened to mine in particular because I covered and this is what he said. I covered the show from the get-go. I gave it a chance, and I came to the conclusion that it sucked with everybody else. It just took me longer, but I covered it from the very first show. I covered it live, and some of the people there listened to what I had to say about it. And it's no different than anybody else. I don't know why they were attaching it to me, be honest with you, but it's not Star Trek. It is exclusionary Star Trek. It's not inclusionary Star Trek, as much as it likes to tell you that. But when you're discluding a lot of people, half of your audience, and alienating half of your audience, you're not inclusionary, and you stop being Star Trek, and you stop being Doctor Who.
That's what inclusion is these days. Everybody else but straight white males.
Yep, exactly. So I'll take a break in the super chats real quick to talk about Doctor Who. Cult Box reported today that they are filming, and I will get to this article. This is now, what does this say about the rumors? Not much. They could still be filming without a showrunner. It happens all the time. I will give you Star Trek Discovery season 1 and season 2, both continued filming while going through showrunners. They continued filming after removing Brian Fuller, and they continued filming after the 5th episode with Bergman and the other person they fired. And Star Trek Picard did the same exact thing. They hired a showrunner halfway through the season. So it's not unheard of. So the people who are going out there shooting down the rumors saying that's impossible, that's not the way things are done, it's actually the way things are done here in the States all the damn time, especially when you're working on Star Trek. It's unusual. It certainly is unusual, but it's been done. So, and I'm certain it's happened at the BBC before. So, but the important thing about this filming is they were filming the freaking Cybermen. It's like, oh God. And you can't see it. It's a distant photo, but it is, oh God, I don't want to go to somebody's Instagram.
So is the Cybermen going to be an analogy for the patriarchy?
Oh yeah. That's what I said in my, my video, that they'll probably they'll make the Cybermen an analogy for the patriarchy, or they'll drop the men, and they'll be called the cyber people.
People in black, humans in black.
Yes.
The X people.
Yes, which we're gonna be losing here soon. But let me get
The
to
X-Fem is what they'll be called,
they'll be
because
called
they'll
the
all be
mutants.
women.
Gotta be terrible. But real quick, I'll just share you here. Doctor Who filming continues at Nash Point in South Wales on Thursday, August 22nd. We found an Instagram post from someone who happened upon the filming. The most exciting thing about the 8 photos is the post. In the post is the silvered armor creatures appearing in the distance. Some of them are Cybermen, and they are confirmed by the person taking the photo to be Cybermen. Again, this just shows that it's still filming. We haven't heard anything since those rumors dropped, and I still haven't heard anything from what insiders I have, who none of them work at the BBC. They work adjacent, but they don't work at the BBC. So we don't know. This doesn't disprove them at all. It just means they're still filming the show, which we all assumed would still happen. And it's going to be a very interesting time in early 2020 when Star Trek Picard and Doctor Who will be out at the same time. I will, God, I kind of miss, even bad TV. I kind of miss reviewing TV. I haven't reviewed a TV episode since Game of Thrones ended, because it's summer and there's been nothing on worth reviewing. But I'm going to be ramping back up, I believe, in October. So when Watchmen and Batwoman hit, I will be covering those.
Dude, there's gonna be
Yeah.
so much great content to create.
Oh my God.
I have to watch Batwoman just to see how fucking terrible it is.
Oh yeah.
I'll be
covering
they got to be doing that to fucking troll people. That has to be a troll.
They do. I don't know what show I got to talk to Doomcock. We initially wanted to do both. I don't think that's a good idea. I think we're going to decide on either Watchmen or Batwoman. It'll probably Watchmen. And we'll just make the Watchmen reviews part of the Inquisition, probably. But we'll see how we work. I just don't think we could do both shows because the time difference and stuff. It'd be kind of crazy because then we'd be doing the Inquisition at like 10 o'clock at night. So, which I don't want to do, which is bad for our East Coast friends. I can handle it, but I like the people in the East Coast. I actually like you watching. So, but I think Doomcock and we'd be better suited for Watchmen, because we're gonna tear that fucker a new one, man. I'm like, I'll tell you right now, I always hold out a little hope for something. Like even Westworld season 3, there's like 5% of me that wants it to be good. Westworld season 1, and listen, if Doctor Who series 12 turns it around and it's somehow magically the female version of David Tennant, I'll tell you. I mean, if that's how I see it, I'm not going to like stick with it for the clicks. I don't know. I can get them other places, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's not that difficult in 2019 to find shit that's
tons of material out there.
Yeah, there really is. That's kind of the problem, man. It's like the Sony thing is a really good example of that. It's like things kept changing, and it's like I can't make a video fast enough to keep up with the updates.
Yeah, I did that last one based on the Bounding into Comics, and that's it. I'm just gonna wait until we find out anything else because I don't care beyond that. I even when I was in that video, I'm like, either way, Spider-Man's screwed. I don't even like. I mean, unless they bring Sam Raimi back to do Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire, I could care less. I think it's good that Disney got kicked in the nuts. I think it is
absolutely. It's a good thing, and that's kind of my whole point is like I don't, even if Sony did take off with it, I don't know if it's going to be good because I can cite like 2 previous movies that were garbage called The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which was just a complete dog shit series of movies.
Alex Kurtzman.
Yeah. And at least this version of Spider-Man is like making them money. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is the superior Spider-Man, pun intended.
Is it? Or is it making their money? Are they inflating numbers? And it was either Ichibaka or Data Racer. One of those two, who are 2 great people on Twitter that you need to follow. Their information is spot on and solid. Talked about, I think it was Ichibaka. If I get it wrong, I'm sorry, guys. You're both great. they were talking about the Chinese box office. It was an article from a few years ago, and I'm gonna look into this. So China gets a percentage of the American box office. So it's a big enough percentage. China gets a percentage of the American box office on all the government, like China. So
China
I would consider that. Now what percentage I don't know, but that would certainly be a motivation to, I don't know, fudge the numbers a little bit in China, maybe beyond Disney's control. And then there's Disney possibly fudging the numbers. And it was one theater manager coming out, but there was a lot of people saying I'm sitting in an empty theater. And listen, it wasn't even Captain Marvel, and I talked about it in my video. I've done that before too. The only question against that is, why would you estimate high? Because then you would have to pay taxes on that. And you're telling the world and the government that you're making more money than you are. That's a little crazy. But
the interesting thing too about the whole thing with ghost screenings, this is something that came out several years ago that was happening in China. So it's not just something that was happening here. And oddly enough, my ghost screening videos about Captain Marvel were, pretty highly viewed. But it was such an obvious thing that, because everyone was talking about, there's,
I didn't make one.
Yeah,
I didn't think there was anything to it. I thought it was worthy of considering, but I did not make a video on it. I'm like, that's a little crazy, to be honest with you.
But apparently, and this is the thing I thought was interesting, and I even talked with Angleton about it. It's like the way they can get away with ghost screenings is that they basically buy the tickets, and it just gets rolled into the marketing budget. So that's how they're kind of able to get away with it. But there was like a big scandal that happened. I think it was like with Ip Man 3. I don't remember. It's been a while since I made that video. But it is a thing. It does exist. It does happen.
Well, no, I can certainly believe it. And that's why I brought it up finally. I'm like, well, now that I've, if you're willing to steal from one place and lie about one thing in one place, you're willing to do it in another. And I stated that in the video, and we see it out in the open with Marvel Comics. They pad the numbers with number ones, with overship. Why wouldn't they do the same thing with theaters? And I've heard some people who worked in theaters say, no, they couldn't do that. Listen, no offense, taking tickets, being a manager, you're not in the loop for stuff like that. You're just not. Okay.
Well, Angleton, who worked at a theater, and like I said, take it for what it's worth, the dude worked in a movie theater, said, this shit happens all the time.
I'm sure it does, but it happens on a level way above. I mean, they could farm out a party to buy them out. And there's just multiple levels to it. And it's probably a marketing scam that maybe is even technically legal that they can get away with. I'm sure it is.
Yeah,
sure it is.
Well, they do it to drive interest in the movie. Oh, look how popular this movie is. It's getting, all these seats are getting sold out. Go and buy your ticket right away.
I still think it made a lot of money. I still think Captain Marvel made a lot of money.
It still made a lot of money.
But but I just think it, I think there could have been some skullduggery. Lori Wilson for $5 going to get I already read that one. Thank you, Lori. Go get Shatner's autograph. We love the Shat. Sir Ruin of House Roundhead for $4.99. Are you planning on getting a picture with Billy D. Williams at New York Comic Con? Also, watch JXC's review of Another Life, the show on Netflix. Is JXZ a YouTuber? I'll check it out. Yeah. I'll check it out, or maybe I'll just check out Another Life if I have time. We'll have to see. Thank you, Sir Ruin of House Roundhead. It's good to see you here for $4.99. Planning on getting Billy D. Williams picture? No. The only time I wait in line or give money for that is like if it's with my kid. I did it with Stan Lee recently because I knew it was the last time I was going to see Stan Lee. So I brought Nerdrotic Jr. down to meet him. And Shatner, he's 80. I'm like, this could be my last chance to see him. It was worth it. But otherwise, I am not a star effer. I don't care about movie stars. And, I like the finished work. The personalities behind it, never been a huge fan. Never.
I'll be honest with you, I met Billy D. Williams. It was rather underwhelming, and maybe it was because it was the end of the con and he was very tired, but he so looked like he did want to be there.
Yeah, nothing against him. It's just I don't want to pay. I want an autograph of somebody. This sounds terrible. Who was there for free?
Yeah.
You know what? Who actually genuinely wants to give out autographs to fans when they are paid to be there. I got a problem with it. Unless you're a William Shatner, Wilson Cruz should be walking around Star Trek Las Vegas signing shit for free. You hear that, Wilson? You hear that, little Ricky? That's what you should be doing, because you guys need to win over fans, whether you want to accept it or not. That's your freaking problem.
That's fucking hilarious. And Adam Warlock, the what I got signed by Billy D. Williams was a print of Lando Calrissian in Colt 45. Nice. It was like, one print. It was freaking fantastic.
All right, Sam Whiskey, $4.99. Rey doesn't deserve to fly the Millennial Falcon. She should fly Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and she doesn't even deserve to fly Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Sam Whiskey, but I agree with you for $4.99. Thank you very much. I mean, I agree with you anyway. I mean, the $4.99 is just, that was a super chat. I only agree with you for $4.99, but for $3.99, I disagree. Just kidding. Speaking of which, $3.99 from Cracklin. What does She-Hulk do during? Dude, come on. You got to read them, man. Cracklin asks, what does She-Hulk do during her period? It's got a reverse effect. She calms down and she meditates. No, I don't know. She probably doesn't have it. The gamma radiation probably takes away her ability to have kids. That's what I'm guessing.
That's like asking, is the Thing's dork made of orange rock?
Yes, it is. It's a big rock cock. Todd Smith for $10. No comment. Thankfully, after Cracklin's super chat. Oh, I'm gonna be in so much trouble with Mrs. Nerdrotic on that one. Scaro Trek for $2. Mandalorian looks nihilistic. What moral center? Yeah, Scaro Trek, that's a great point. These are okay. This is what sucks about current year storytelling. It's really putting people. It's dividing the fandom so much. It's putting people down on storytelling that could be potentially dark, because people are just so sick of it, because dark is turning into something else now. It used to be really fun to go down, to see our characters go dark and see some moral grays here and there. But now it's overdone. It's really overdone. And it's a trope at this point.
Yeah, it really is.
It would almost be, we need to see something more explored. You know what? We need to see fun explored again, and not fun in the Disney sense. Disney's fun is, okay, let's take all the stakes and danger out of everything. No, that's not what we're talking about. We want Doctor Who series 2005 through 2008, where it was fun, it was exciting, there was real stakes. It was such a sweet spot of good storytelling. That's where Marvel needs to be. And I was saying this at the comic shop. I was like, God, I'm so freaking sick of goddamn stories going dark. He's going dark again. We need to go dark. We need a hard R. It's like, no. There's some stuff like Moon Knight should be rated R. Daredevil should be rated R. But
Deadpool should be rated R.
Deadpool should be rated R.
Not PG-13.
Yeah, but Star Wars should be PG-13. I don't need to see a rated R Star Wars.
No. You don't need to have a rated R Star Trek either. I mean, there's certain things that is fine the way it is. Star Wars, being one of them, Star Trek being another. It's like the path that they've gone down with these two franchises is completely abysmal. Yep.
Tim Riggs for $5. Based on that image of Miss Marvel, someone has a serious fisting fetish. They do.
Maybe it was G. Willow Wilson.
Well, yeah, it might have been. You never know. James Green, Canadian 279. Miss Marvel sets the tone for the future of the MCU. She certainly does. The all new, all different MCU is coming. We have been saying this for quite a while now, and now that it's happening, even some of the dissenters are going,
well, it makes sense too why they would do it, because that was all done under Disney. It's Disney property, if you think about it.
Well, yeah,
So
they want to. They're in a hurry to
sense.
get rid of the old classic characters. That and this has nothing to do with residuals on the Marvel side, or maybe it does. I don't know. But they want to get rid of. There was just in a hurry to get rid of Iron Man and Captain America and Thor. I mean, they didn't get rid of Thor. They just undercut his character quite a bit by making him a fat, blubbering fool.
Yep.
And again, those stakes are taken away. And we've lost the big three, and now they don't have Spider-Man, and that is an oh shit moment for the MCU, whether they like it or not. They had Spider-Man on a banner at D23. How awkward was that? I wonder if I can find that. But
well, it makes me wonder if it's like you were saying, if there's something, if all this was like, one big show,
It's too little, too late, even with Sebastian Stan as a young Luke done right. Not interested anymore with Disney's woke and despicable ways. Miss Marvel equals puke. Says War and Roar for $4.99. Agreed. Listen, Fandom Menace, you're going to get a fresh round of attacks. Okay. You're going to get a fresh round of attacks because we got a good trailer. And people are going to go and come out when you rightly, this is just your opinion. And I'm not saying there's probably there's actually a lot of members of the Phantom Menace who are liking the trailer. But for those of you who are like, nope, I'm standing my ground on this one. I'm sure it looks pretty, but I know what we're going to get. And the best we're going to get is a side story that's good. That doesn't move the overarching story forward. That doesn't change anything from The Last Jedi. And the Phantom Menace was created by The Last Jedi. It had its origins prior to that, but it was created by The Last Jedi and what was done to Luke. And you can't undo that. Now, for me, the Phantom Menace was created with Han Solo getting, needlessly murdered by his son in a very stupid way. And it was just worse with Luke Skywalker being killed. So, nothing's going to make this right. I mean, nothing.
Well, one thing I thought was interesting about it, because I know that was what the original plan was for Han Solo to die at the end of Jedi, and the reason why it was changed, that was what Gary Kurtz wanted, but Lucas changed it and nixed it because he was like, dead Han Solo does not sell action figures.
Yep.
And so I thought it was an interesting nod to that original plan, even though he basically went out like a bitch. And I know that Harrison Ford wanted it out, but obviously when they did the same thing to Luke, it's like, okay, obviously there's a pattern. And we all knew that Leia was going to get it in the 9th movie, if it wasn't for the fact that, poor Carrie Fisher passed on. Yeah.
And there's no need to kill any of them. You can all have them retire into the sunset and create new stories, but it's done deliberately to kill the past. But it looks like they don't want to kill that past just yet. Looks like they're ready to go right back to it. And Sebastian Stan, well, it would just be another Solo all over again. I'm sorry. And that reeks of J.J. Abrams, by the way. It reeks of J.J. Abrams and his influence.
Yeah, there really is no point, anymore. It's like, why keep doing this stuff?
Because they've got nothing.
Yeah,
they've got nothing. Nothing. With Dan and Dave, they're going to go thousands of years into the past, and which would make it a completely different story.
Yeah.
But and with Rian, it's going to go into the future with new characters, with brand new characters, not EU characters, not legacy characters, brand new characters. If we get that at all, we'll see. I just listened to an entire interview with him by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And dude, that was rough to get through. Not a mention of it. Not saying anything other than it exists. Not saying, oh, I'm working on it or I'm about to work on it or anything. Nothing.
Is it? I don't know, man. I think it's canceled.
I think it is too. Bounding into Comics reported on a rumor that it's canceled. I didn't run with the video because I'm just like, there's been so many out there.
It's been rumored to be canceled, for a while.
I've
like
never
when they started canceling all the other Star Wars spin-off films like the Boba Fett one and the Obi-Wan one. So it's I don't know. Maybe they will try to do it, but
it was
I think
conciliatory. That's it. That's all
Mhm.
I've ever thought, that they just gave it to him to keep him quiet. Because look at his act on Twitter. Look at his act on Twitter. And my God, I isolated the recording, by the way. There's a great recording of Rianne Johnson laugh in that podcast. Oh God. I can't wait to use it in future videos. So did you go over J Team yet? It says Doker D for $2. What is J Team?
Oh my God, Mr. E was telling me about this. It's like it's a new team book. It's that's coming out for Marvel. I don't know much about it. I didn't look into it. There was a promo I was gonna watch, but I just didn't have time. I had to finish my video. But yeah, it's a new Marvel team. It's like kind of replacing the Champions, and they're young and edgy, and I want to say that they're actually supposed to be the Runaways.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I love the original champions. Hercules, Iceman, Angel, Black Widow, Ghost Rider. It was a good team. It was good. They fought
Doc
Swarm.
Justice. That's right, Epic Mojo. Doc Justice is the name of the leader. It's so bad.
Doc Justice.
Yes.
That would have worked in the 70s.
Yes.
But
it would have.
Not now. Not now. Okay. No, I haven't yet. Thank you, Doker D for $2, but now I'm curious. Benjamin Wood for Australian $2.99. No comment, but thank you very much. I appreciate it, Benjamin. It's good to see you. Who's in your avatar there? Is that Namor? I can't tell. I see shirtless. I can't see. It looks like Namor. Norwegian Kryptonian for 55 Norwegian crowns. Star Wars in other news. I just had a Tinder match with a woman whose profile picture is her kissing a horse. I can't compete with the horse. Well, how do you know? Don't be selling yourself too short there, Norwegian Kryptonian. I mean, you're Norwegian and you're a Kryptonian. You never know. You never know. Maybe it's a girl horse. Do you know that for a fact?
Maybe it's strictly plutonic.
Yes. Daniel for $5. Mandalorian trailer looks amazing. Looks like Star Wars. Looks great because it does not look like the new garbage until they poison it somehow.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And it sucks to sound that jaded, but you're just being realistic at this point. Listen, Rogue One had a good trailer. The Last Jedi's trailer was fine. Look at what we got. The worst criticisms we were hearing from The Last Jedi prior to it coming out was, wow, this looks a lot like Empire. And it did follow a lot of the Empire. For one, I read an article yesterday that people were criticizing Jar Jar for being too much like A New Hope, and people criticized Rian Johnson for not being enough like The Empire Strikes Back. Are you kidding me? There was a Lando type character who betrayed them. They went to a white planet with walkers. Okay, it was.
It's salt. It's salt. It's not so, everyone. Yeah. It's salt.
They only. It's because they copied some of the Return of the Jedi in there. Yes. That was the only mix it up. But no, they did the same shit that they did with A New Hope. So please don't tell me that was original. The only original part was getting extremely shitty with the characters. That you did one up JJ on that one for sure. Although they brought Max von Sydow in to utter the first lines of the new trilogy, which were the words were this start. I'm going to paraphrase because I can't remember them word for word. This will start to make things right. Well, that was a bold statement. That didn't. Well, they didn't follow up on very well. Darkstar 76 for $5. It's pretty damn depressing and infuriating that they're killing our childhood. Yeah, I mean, they're not honoring it, and it's needless. The thing is, it's needless. When people say they're killing our childhood, it's this. What you're doing is you're destroying what you paid a lot of money for political reasons, to try to modernize it when you don't need to do that. It just takes a little extra work. And believe me, this is all about saving money and doing things the easy way. Why do you think they give a showrunner position to a newcomer? Because they probably paid her $30,000.
It's cheaper.
Yeah. They probably got her on the cheap, and they don't have to put up with any of the ego, and they have control of everything. And
that's something that's also you've been seeing in Marvel Comics as well, with the artists, the high and the writers as well, and the editors. They're hiring all these, cheap young people that basically lack any kind of real talent, and they put them in charge of these things, and they elevate them and tell them how great they are, and they don't pay them dick.
And they can get away with it because they're Disney. Captain Spire for $10. I saw how selfish companies can be when I read the story of how Steve Gerber had to steal his own character back. We don't see Howard the Duck as major, but as far as we go to save our own creation, yes, he did have to save his own creation. And well, yeah, it's been back and forth with Marvel. I remember when they were going to do a Howard the Duck comic and they had to change him into a mouse last minute, which was hilarious. Shane Wartzik for $2. My name is pronounced like Rostic. Okay. Would have never have gotten that. Thank you for pointing that out. Shane Rostic. The W and Y are basically silent. Fat Gandalf for $4.99. Favreau had made more money for Disney than Kennedy. No way she's involved. I agree with you there. He certainly has. He has. Well, maybe the only way remember, he got some shade because when they announced he was doing the Mandalorians, it was on International Women's Day. Don't forget that. He got shade.
Wait. What?
Yes. Oh, you missed this? Yeah, Last year, when they announced Jon Favreau would be doing the Mandalorians, it was on March 8th.
Oh, my God.
Or was it this? Yeah, it was last year. Or was it this year? But it was during International Women's Day, and they said that was very insensitive.
I vaguely remember that. Oh, my God. But this is funny. Christy brings up a very good point. If they just wanted to save money, they could just hire women because, they only make 79 cents on the dollar.
Yeah. Maybe that's why Hollywood is hiring so many women. They're saving 25%.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I could see that being a J.J. Abrams concept too. 25% different. Yep. Sam Whiskey, $4.99. The only one that can save Doctor Who is Guy Pearce. He will make a great doctor. And if we bring back K9, Guy Pearce would be a great doctor, but that's an Aussie as the doctor. I mean, that's just as bad as having an American. Guy Pearce is Aussie, right? But I think he would be a fantastic doctor. I liked Guy Pearce in The Time Machine, the remake of I actually liked that horrible movie. I thought it was good. I mean, I've
never seen that movie.
They brought that Time Machine at Comic-Con, and they had a full replica of it. It was pretty cool. Dark Star 57, $4.99. I mean, it's a terrible movie, but I liked it. Okay. I know it was terrible. I know it's terrible. Dark Star 57, $4.99. I remember going to a Star Trek convention back in the 80s and getting most of the original series cast signatures for free. Never got Shatner or Nimoy's. No, and those are two that I would pay for and that you most certainly should pay for, but or DeForest Kelley, James Doohan. But you could have walked you could have walked up to Nichelle Nichols. She was sitting on the floor of the convention. She had two handlers, and you could have walked up to her and given her a few bucks for an autograph. That would have been worth it. But nobody was going up to her. She had a line of two people. And LeVar Burton was there. He had nobody at his table.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Now they were, because there wasn't that many people there. There just wasn't that many people there. For the amount of people, the con should have only been 2 days. It's way too expensive. Next time I go, I'll pay for 1 day and go 1 day, and the rest of the time I'll hang out with Trekkies and Trekkers.
Yeah, I got Walter Koenig's autograph, and I didn't even get a check off one. I got one of Bester.
He's tiny. We walked by him at the casino, and I only saw the back of his head, but he's like a hobbit.
Yeah, and I didn't realize he's pretty old.
He's old and he's pretty well.
He's old.
Disney can go straight to the pit hereafter, says J Hando 4 for $2. Agreed. Listen, the Mandalorian trailer looked good. Did it make up for The Last Jedi Solo and the treatment of the fans over the last 2 years? It doesn't even get close.
No, not even close, man.
Doesn't even come close. That's the thing.
It's like it's window dressing on a turd at this point. Yeah, it looks nice, and it probably will be good, but it doesn't make up for the damage that was done by Rian Johnson. It doesn't make up for the damage done by Kathleen Kennedy. It doesn't make up for the damage that they did insulting the fans, calling them sexist, calling them racist, calling them misogynistic. You gotta fucking apologize for that shit. You want me back as a fan? Apologize for all the shit that you did and sicking your shill, writers after us.
Yes, absolutely. And like I said before, by the way, Jeremy Holloway says Giorgio Tsoukalos could write a better Star Wars film than Rian Johnson. Absolutely right. You are not wrong there at all. Why does this bar not go up? That's crazy. $5 from Joel. I was okay with the ST90 and TFA, but the sequels were horrific. STD and Trilogy are two of the worst movies ever made and soured me. Star Trek 2009 and The Force Awakens. I'll get to that, Joel, in a second. I will get to that in a second. But let me get down here. Oh, look, it's Cleveland Brown.
It's Cleveland Brown.
JJ gets off scot-free. That is true. That is true. Okay, so the Phantom Menace is going to go over a fresh round of attacks here, and we just got off of some. Now, it had nothing to do with me, but I got added on the tweet. So my timeline was, my mentions and everything was just this for 3 days. So there's here, let me get all the information right. So there's a writer, he's writing a book for the Phantom Menace. And
really, that's interesting.
Yes. And he decided to use a logo, which is a parody of the 501st. So I'm gonna try to see if I can find his. I'm looking for his Indiegogo. There it is. Okay, so I got that. So Stephen Walton is a writer, and he's writing, and this is volume 1. So he's chronicling what has gone on with the Phantom Menace from prior to it. I won't say organizing because it's not organized. to the early parts to when the Last Jedi was released, and I think he's doing another volume that's gonna bring in Star Trek and Doctor Who, and he actually asked me to do something for it, he was looking for somebody to do a particular section on something, and I offered to do it. I'm like, I'll do it. So this is gonna be funny because I'm gonna write something. This is gonna be really funny. So but I'm very passionate on the thing that he was looking for, and I think I could be the one to do it. Well, you guys will be the judge. That being said, I don't know if he's going to use the logo for the book. I don't know what he was going to use the logo for, but he just took a parody of the 501st logo, which is a parody of a military logo, and used it for the Phantom Menace. And somebody from the 501st, by the way, this is no shade on the 501st. I got no problem with the 501st. Never have, never will. They do charity work. That's great. Nobody at the Phantom Menace has a problem with their charity work. Nobody has a problem with kids dying of cancer and people trying to help them. That's a very good thing that we want to continue. And we will help in any way, shape, or form. As a father myself, Stephen is a father himself. So somebody came in and basically said, don't use that logo. You hate kids. It was very disingenuous. I'm paraphrasing what the cosplayer came in and said, Don't use that logo. We're a charity organization. You're besmirching us. And it was very disingenuous because it invoked the kids with cancer like right away. Now, I don't know. I'm guessing she didn't privately message Steven beforehand to have a chat, maybe work things out before we go public with everything. And we went public, and the tweet did exactly what she wanted it to. And it riled a bunch of people up against the Fandom Menace. My guess is she just didn't like the Fandom Menace, which is fine. You don't have to like the Fandom Menace. And again, the Fandom Menace is a lot of things. It's not one thing. It's a loose group of individuals united in the principle of respecting the fan. That's it. That's the way I see it. And trying to pull partisan, uber partisan extremist agenda and politics out of our Star Wars so it can be for everybody again, not being exclusionary. Okay. And that's all we are. So they try to, of course they do the usual label. You're a hate group, blah, blah, blah. The usual bad actors come in. Renfamous pops in. Thankfully, I didn't see a single one of her tweets because she blocks me. Good.
No, I block her, so I don't see her shit. I don't care about her.
She's a freaking op. I mean, she's just a nasty op. That's all I see her.
Yeah.
And so this whole
people
kerfuffle,
should not give her attention.
No, that like honestly, just like it's best to just ghost her.
Yep.
And that's how I deal with most of the stuff. It's like when I see it ramping up, I just don't acknowledge it, and it goes away. It goes away. But things were said, things went back and forth, and again, it was just an excuse to pile on the Fandom Menace, pile on with lies. And again, the original tweet was disingenuous. Everybody knows it. We could all see through it. But the thing is, the rules on Twitter don't apply. Nuance does not apply. So we take everything literally. And, listen, even the people agreeing with her knew that, oh, this is a chance to pile on the Fandom Menace. They weren't genuinely looking out for kids with cancer. So you use kids with cancer to pile on a group that you don't like because they disagree with you on a movie. I want you to, there was a lot of people telling Steven to delete his account. I want you who did that to really take a person, check your life, man. Check your life. So you piled on an innocent guy who you don't know from Adam, who did a parody of a logo because he doesn't like the movie you like. I mean, that's the reality. That's the honesty behind there. You didn't give two craps about kids with cancer or a charity organization or the 501st. You wanted to pile on somebody.
Well, and here's the thing I find so ridiculous about all this is that, the harkening back to Peter Sumedi getting swatted. It's like a dude got swatted over comic books, over the fact that he doesn't share your ideology, didn't call out certain things. So he got swatted.
Yeah. That's what, and it's just because he wouldn't, you're right. What you just said, he wouldn't call he's not even part of the organization.
Yeah.
He wouldn't call them out. So yeah, that's how psychotic it's gotten. So that's why you got to be careful. I don't care
how you slice it. Swatting someone is attempted murder.
Yeah, but
in my opinion, they should be tried for attempted murder.
Exactly. But when somebody starts an exchange like this, it looks planned to me. It just looks planned. Somebody just doesn't come out and say, they just found an excuse. They felt, oh, like we can get them on this thing. And they did. They jumped on it. Just like it's almost like it was timed. It was almost like it was planned. I don't know if it was, but it's over with now. Somebody claimed drama. Somebody, I don't know. Somebody got, by the end of the exchange, somebody was claiming they had to go to the hospital over this. And it's like, okay. You could have easily handled this by just shutting it down. And we're going to have to go through this again, and it's going to be over this stupid, not stupid, but the Mandalorian trailer. You're going to start seeing in the next couple of days the Fandom Menace are just haters, because we're going to remind everybody that while this was a good trailer, Star Wars isn't saved. No. They have a long way to go, like I said before, and if you bring that up, you're going to be part of the hate group again. And listen, again, it doesn't take away I enjoyed the trailer, but I also enjoyed the trailer for The Last Jedi. I did too.
Too.
I also enjoyed the trailer for the Fandom Menace. Thought it was awesome. But it wasn't. There's been a lot of trailers where I'm like, damn, that looks pretty good, and the movie sucked. Valerian,
Well,
love the trailer for that.
Point.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of a trailer, is to get you to see it. I mean, no one's going to make a shitty trailer because the movie's shitty.
There's been shitty trailers of good movies, though.
Yeah, there have been good, shitty trailers of good movies.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Let's get back to the super chats here real quick. We got to dive through these. We're not here all night, but I just wanted to, the Phantom Menace is going to have to go through that shit. You guys know it. I mean, just be ready, or just don't be on Twitter and you'll be fine. My Twitter, I do 1 hour of Twitter a day, 1 hour. Most of it spent answering messages and trying to get to everybody, which I don't. I fail miserably at it, but I try.
Hey man, you're a popular guy. Very popular
today.
Guy.
Yeah, probably not tomorrow, but I'm trying. What the thing has Doomcock, says Silent Poet 75 for $2. The thing has Doomcock. There could be multiple meanings in there.
Yeah.
That a couple I don't want to explore. So we'll just say that the thing from the film has Doomcock. That's sorry to hear, but Doomcock will be able to fight his way out of that. Chris Stanley, did you see Stanley's daughter take on the MCU Sony debacle? I might missed your take on it. No, I did see it. People brought it to me. And I kind of withheld on that for this reason. When things started really happening for this channel was when I did a live stream the day he died.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of information I know about her that is public and not public. But the public information I can talk about. It is widely known that she was pretty abusive to Stan. She wasn't the best daughter she could have been at all times. So I'm very wary of anything she says. She's been pretty nasty to Stan in the past. Their family, things work out. Maybe, she was brought up in a household where she didn't get a lot of supervision, or maybe she got spoiled. I don't know. Doesn't matter at this point. But yeah, it's interesting to see that she said that Stanley was treated pretty badly by Disney. I'm not surprised, because I had a conversation with Len Wein's kid at Comic-Con 2 years ago, and he said the same exact thing about Len. Len Wein was dying. Now, he wasn't nearly as popular as Stan, but look up Len Wein, everybody. See how many characters he's created.
Yeah, he's created some pretty notable characters.
Swamp Thing, the Wolverine, for just to name a couple.
Yes.
Very important man to comic books, and didn't die poor, but damn near it. And he created two characters that made two companies billions of dollars. I don't think it would have been much for them to make his last days, more comfortable.
Yeah.
And they didn't lift a finger. So I'm not surprised to hear about that. So I'm glad she called it out. I mean, listen, I'm glad she's protecting her dad now, but yeah, she also contributed to a lot of Stan's misery towards the end. Let's not forget that. And hasn't asked for a lot of forgiveness on it. Poor Stan, he was just abused from all sides.
Yeah, it really sucks.
It really sucked.
It really did.
And yeah, the vultures come out, man. And it just sucks. The Village Cyber People says Vat Gandalf for $1.99.
That's great.
Jamie Alexander will be the new Wolverine. Just kidding. No, you're not. No, you're not. Rock Flanagan for $5. Favreau is going to put the dagger through Star Wars like Van Helsingborg. Said Sam Whiskey for $4.99. Favreau has made we're caught up on that side.
By the way, Wolverine is trending on Twitter, and they're attaching it to Kit. There's like nothing official, but you do have Rob Liefeld saying that.
But I mean, again, I like Kit. I do.
Yeah.
He maybe he'll surprise us. Maybe he'll surprise us. But Kit is still. I'm sorry, Kit's beta for Wolverine. Wolverine is an ugly masculine man, a short, ugly masculine man. But I guess not anymore. Not Disney's Wolverine. I keep forgetting comics division. I'm talking about Disney's Marvel. And the Marvel you and I enjoyed died in 2009. It's done.
Yeah.
The minute it was bought by Disney, it ended. It's over. It is not our Marvel anymore. So I gotta, if we get a reasonable facsimile that isn't woke as hell, I guess I should consider myself lucky and just be a good little fan and shut up and give them money. Sam Whiskey, $4.99. The only okay, Guy Pearce. I read that one. Todd Smith for $10. Gary, I guess this means I will never get my movie based on Shadows of the Empire. Star Wars ended with the end of Return of the Jedi. Do you have any thoughts on the new Mortal Kombat rumors? No, I don't. What are the Mortal Kombat rumors?
One of them is that they're replacing one of the characters with a female, and they're calling her She-Wolf. And I don't remember the character's name. I've seen it trending. I'll be honest with you, I haven't played Mortal Kombat since Mortal Kombat 2. Maybe 3.
Todd, my thoughts are anything that was made before that's going to be remade will be gender and race swapped. And every story will center around a female who's the most important thing. She is the destroyer of worlds, or she's the most important thing. And even okay, so that movie that just got The Hunt, the one that got canceled.
Yes,
the one that I think some people might have misinterpreted because it's supposed to be kind of like Get Out, where it makes it makes both sides look bad.
It's the reverse.
It makes both sides look bad, but it still has a strong kick-ass female lead who's knocking the shit out of guys 100 pounds more than her.
Well, here's the funny thing. Okay,
it just doesn't end.
I know it doesn't end. And that when I made my video about, that's what I talked about. I talked about a little bit about the controversy. I'm like, I honestly don't care. They're making the liberals the bad guys. Okay. But yeah, and I'm basing everything off of just what I saw with the trailer. But it's like nobody's talking about how this is a movie that is being made in the time of Me Too, because it's exactly that. It's the badass, kick-ass female that's unstoppable, and that's all there is to it. It's a Me Too movie.
So in a hunt where people are getting shot and killed, and I think one of the guys was military, and everybody's like looking to the hunter, who, because she got a Southern accent. Well, she must know how to kick ass because she's from the South, and all people from the South know how to hunt and listen to country music, and they don't know that poetry. Yeah. I mean, it was fucking stupid. But the thing was, the article I read that I still might do a video on was they just weren't clever enough with the marketing. Now, Watchmen, that's clever marketing because it's essentially the same show.
Yeah.
It's essentially the same as The Hunt. You want to know why? Because they're both written by Damon Lindelof.
Yes, I know. That's the funny part.
So this whole article was how they were too obvious with the marketing. They need to be smarter and trick people. And yeah, maybe I'll do a video on it. It was a pretty interesting article.
What triggered everyone was the use of the term deplorables. That's what really set everything off.
And also the fact that they were killing them in cold blood. It doesn't really matter how they present. The whole thing is, again, nuance. We understood. See, they were going, no. We're making both sides look bad. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. They were still hunting and killing the right, and they were still making them. They just made the female hero, and she probably won't be on the right, my guess. And it doesn't matter. I think everything should be made. I think it should exist. I don't think it should have got canceled. I don't. I think all art should be out there to be criticized, and then we can criticize it. Whatever.
I completely agree with you.
But the whole point of that article being written as if other people weren't going to read it is as if they were talking to their own. They're like, listen, the people on the right got that canceled, but if we're a little more sneaky, we could trick them. Like they're not reading the article. That's funny.
That's fucking hilarious. The reaction from like the Mary Sue and the people writing these articles is what I found kind of priceless. Is that they're all mad about the right getting this movie canceled. It's like, dude, they're doing the exact same shit to you that you've been doing, and you are so unaware of it. It's absolutely hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. that you guys are complaining about the same shit that you do. Beautiful.
Yeah, and I have been watching the Mary Sue's YouTube channel for quite some time now.
Oh shit! I didn't even know they had a YouTube
Oh, they have
channel.
a show called Well, Actually.
Oh, that's such a feminist thing to do because they're poking fun at men that say,
I have a rule. I have a steadfast rule that I don't make videos about other YouTubers or other YouTube channels. I don't know what drives somebody to do that. The only time I would even consider it is if to respond to an argument to a channel that is bigger than mine. If the channel is not bigger than mine, I don't respond. It's none of my bit. I don't care. But one person has did a video on me, and they have like 75,000 more subs than me. So I figure I can do that one. That one I can do. But I don't know how many subs they have. I didn't check, but I wouldn't make it's, for one, it's low hanging fruit. It's like the easiest. It's that no thanks. But it's interesting to watch. It's definitely eye opening, and you'll get your cringe muscle will get a lot of work. A lot of work.
My God, I
make sure to stretch it.
I have to check this out. I hate the Mary Sue so much. I would say I hate the Mary Sue. I love their content because of how fucking stupid they are.
By the way, I lost my train of thought. Sorry about that. Here is real quick. Okay, I'm gonna show this to you guys real quick.
Oh my God, they have 2.3K subs. That's great.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
As mentioned, Steven's book here. I'll read this a little bit. And Jeremy had talked about this some time ago.
Is this a GoFundMe? Shit, dude, I'm gonna go fund that.
Yeah. So here we go. The Fandom Menace Volume 1 production costs. So I'm going to read a little bit of this. I'll certainly put the link in the chat, and you guys can read it yourself. And if you want to support it, if you so choose to do so, that's cool. I am going to support this book. I will shout it out from time to time. It'll also be part of my video. I am getting nothing for this. This is something I am doing on my own. Yeah, there we go. I hope I put in the right link right there. So it's a long link. I hope I'm putting in the right thing, but okay, you can donate now. Over the last several years, various mediums of entertainment have been used by extremist ideologies to promote division and hate. Cherished and beloved franchises in gaming, comics, television, and film have been perverted into propaganda, degraded the quality of meaning, and these mediums once used to escape trivial subjects like politics. When these traditional fans reject subpar work that favors extremist sociopathical rhetoric, these fans are attacked online by producers, creators, online news medias, actors, and the troglodytes that support bigotry and hate. Through these dogmas come the advent of movements like the Fandom Menace. This collective of fans across various genres from a plethora of backgrounds has come together due to the consistent labels, doxing, attempted personal and professional humiliations, online harassment, threats against family members like their children, and physical assaults in public. Out of this, and a community of voices on YouTube like Ethan Van Sciver once coined the phrase the Fandom Menace. As it relates to us, I need to point out that the Fandom Menace was actually a term used prior to that.
Yes, it was
long prior to that. But
yeah, when the Fandom Menace actually came
when
out.
You're relating it to us, yes, that is true.
Phantom Menace.
Yes, the Phantom Menace, but there was a Fandom Menace prior to the Phantom Menace.
Yes.
There was a Fandom Menace because the people who were against the prequels were called the Fandom Menace. Long time ago. Volume 1 is about the culture war and the true aggressors within it. It is the actual racists and sexists who run the asylum that label their detractors people who stand up for liberty and freedom and thought, and such terrible, ignorant labels such as Nazi, with no regard or understanding to what such vile terms actually mean to people like the Jewish community. And this fundraiser basically is he's writing a book telling our story. So, and you know what? It's for the critics, it's for the people who are curious, and it's also for the fans of the Phantom Menace. It's a history. It's a very interesting thing. More than interesting, impactful to art. It will be remembered for good or for ill. And it's very, the Phantom Menace is very different. I mean, it has its origins with Gamergate and Comicsgate, but it's very different from either of those things. So if you want to give it, if you want to support it, go right ahead. You can go right there. I put the link in there, and I will share the link on Twitter when I'm done with the live stream here as well. So there you go, man. So that's cool that he's doing that. I think it's interesting. Let's get back to the super chats, man. If I can find them.
Where'd they go?
I keep going back to the. We never went. We got to go over when we're done with the super chats. We got to go over the other announcement at D23. There's still one more announcement. So, but it's just repeated stuff. That's the thing. It's the Mandalorian trailer was cool, but nothing earth shattering.
No,
the Luke Skywalker series would have been earth shattering, or them signing a Spider-Man deal, which I guess they still have time to do, would be earth shattering. They still have a couple days to do that.
It's a weekend thing, right? It's like, yeah, okay. Did I get the right one? There we go. I bet they make an announcement sometime over the weekend.
They might, yeah. Motolicious watches Mandalorian trailer and he gets eaten. Oh, gotcha. Thank you, Motolicious. Motolicious for $2. Why would Boba put his brother's head on pikes? I don't know. That's a good question. Read the IMDb bio for the Mrs. Marvel showrunner, Carrie Dalton, for $2. I just got rid of it, but I can do it again, I think. Hang on. Bashika K. Ali is a screenwriter and stand-up comedian known for her personal political comedy. She was recently selected for BAFTA's 2018 Elevate program. As a programmer, Bisha is frequently heard on the Guilty Feminist podcast, and she also co-hosts the BBC4 radio podcast Grown Up Land. In 2012, she took part in an international acclaimed Royal Court Theatre Young Writers Program. Okay, there. I read the bio. I'm not moved. I don't think she'll make a good show. I don't think I'm going out on a limb and saying that. Thank you, Carrie Dalton.
I have a feeling why they picked her.
I'm guessing it's pretty obvious.
Yes, it's pretty obvious.
Joel Timborough, thank you again for the $5. I was okay with Star Trek 2009 and The Force Awakens, but the sequels were horrific. Star Trek Into Darkness and TLJ are two of the worst movies ever made and soured me on Star Trek 2009 and The Force Awakens. I was okay with Star Trek 2009, Joel. I was not okay with The Force Awakens. I thought I was okay for a second, and then I watched it again. I'm like, nope, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And I was very happy to see a lot of people come around with The Last Jedi because I thought it was taking crazy pills, and that's how I found the world-class bullshitters. But with Star Trek 2009, it was a good cast. But I knew at the time when I was watching it, I'm like, there's no way they can keep this cast together. It'll cost them too much money. They're going to become too big. And what we're going to get is a couple of crappy sequels. And that's exactly what happened.
Pretty much.
And listen, that's not why you want it. So you went for broke. And this is going to happen again. This is why I'm telling your story. So they pulled out the one trick in their basket that they had left. We're going to remake the original series and recast Kirk and Spock. You can't do that again, although Alex Kurtzman did, and it failed miserably. You can't recast them. They only work as their own characters. They did a pretty damn good job. They got pretty close to having it work. The problem is J.J. Abrams was involved, and he didn't tell a full story. And he just told a bombastic story that JJ makes every movie like he's not going to make a sequel, even though we know we're going to get a sequel. He goes for broke all the time. And it's like he doesn't care about the future. He just wants to get as much money as possible now because that's all he cares about. It's barely art. Michael Bay is a better filmmaker than J.J. Abrams. He is. He makes better films. I'd rather watch a Michael Bay film. I would rather watch 10 Michael Bay films.
As much crap as I give Michael Bay, I actually would agree with you.
Yep.
Bad Boys is a great example. Michael Bay can make a good film when he wants to, and he has.
Star Trek Into Darkness is a Michael Bay Star Trek film, except not as good.
Yeah. That's fucking hilarious. And I hate Bay's Transformers, man. I really do.
Yes, they're terrible.
They are absolutely terrible.
Cracklin, $4.99. Why didn't they have a Jedi Academy and create a slew of new Jedis? So many wasted opportunities with the new movies. Cracklin, so many wasted opportunities. And now they're going to win people back by
crapping on it more.
Yeah. By getting a good filmmaker and a good storyteller and wasting them on a prequel. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are wasted on the Mandalorian. I'm sure it's going to be great. You know what it looks like though? It looks like it'll be like extremely averagely good. Like it's not people. I mean, listen, Star Wars fans are Star Wars fans and they are hungry for something good. And you know what? I want you to flip this on them now that I just thought of this. And I'm sure a lot of you came to this conclusion. All those Star Wars fans saying Star Wars is saved, remind them that a lot of them weren't saying it needed to be saved. So I'm sure some people who thought it was dead think it's, but I'm talking about the ones who thought everything was cool all along. If you see them all of a sudden say Star Wars is saved, go, gotcha.
Yeah, that is true. That's, oh my God, that's a very valid point. It's that kind of denial. Stockholm syndrome, I guess is the best way of putting it. This is great. It's awesome. It's fantastic. With the fake plastered smile on their faces. Oh, everything's fine here. In the house is on fire behind them.
I'm not going to mention their names, but I've got a couple YouTubers in mind. Just try to read my mind because I'm not going to mention their names. It's just there's no accounting for taste. Okay, some people have great conviction in their own bad taste. Okay, like The Last Jedi is not a good movie. Anybody with any kind of taste that I trust out there on the internet and anybody I've talked to personally does not like that movie. There's not one person I know that I respect their taste, and I respect a lot of people's taste that likes that movie. And the best example is like Red Letter Media, whether you agree with them or not, I mostly respect their taste as YouTubers.
Yes.
Like generally, I pretty much, while I won't agree with them on every movie, they have very solid taste.
They have very solid taste, and they have most of the time very good takes on things.
Yep. So if you're on the opposite end of them, in my opinion, again, not everything. And listen, we all like bad things. I do too. I just admitted to it. But to continually pound the drum for The Last Jedi and then come out and recently there was Attack on the Phantom Menace, and it basically said we were too dumb to understand The Last Jedi.
I love when people say that because it's like, man, you were just simply dismissing any free thought at that point. You're not smart enough to understand the brilliance of The Last Jedi. Buddy, it was a shitty film. Get over it.
And he just happened to do it with a very deep voice that sounds very confident. So I'm confident with my bad taste.
Yeah.
You must be dumb. The Last Jedi was awesome. See, I can do that shit.
Well, it's like when you're talking to people about how the comic book industry is falling apart. No, it's doing fine. It's making all this money, and it's just like, and it's like, look at Comic-Con. Look at the stuff. No, you're just hating on it because you don't like Captain Marvel. No, dude, the comic industry is falling apart. Really, it is. We're seeing things close down, like what happened with
Marvel hired Zoe Quinn.
Yeah, Marvel hired. Oh, but you just hate Zoe Quinn because of Gamergate. You fucking hate women, you misogynist, and that's what you're getting.
She got the job because of Gamergate. She can't write comics. She helped kill Vertigo. She just got the job there, and she killed a historic freaking comic line. She was part of it. So they hire Marvel. Listen, double yourself down into oblivion at this point. I don't even care. I did care. There was a point where I cared. There was a point where a lot of people cared. A lot of people have just washed their hands. Said, "Go Marvel, bye." That's why that the videos are getting less traction because people have just done. They're fine. If you want to kill yourself,
nobody fucking cares anymore about the collapse of the comic book industry, except for a few people.
The direct market is hospice. That's it.
Yeah.
And it'll last for a little while longer, and then it's done. The threshold is you're this far away. Yeah.
But that's the thing, that as much as Zoe Quinn likes to paint herself a victim, is like, you are successful because of your self-victimization, and you're getting jobs because of what happened with Gamergate. Anita Sarkeesian is getting stuff because of Gamergate. You have made money on playing the victim.
And the thing is, time usually exposes these people. Over time they will. They can put up that act for only so long. You can only keep from being yourself for only so long.
Look at Feminist Frequency. They're not making money like they used to.
I think they stopped. And didn't they crowdfund that? Didn't they crowdfund
they did a lot of crowdfunding. They made a lot of money, but there was a lot more money going out than coming in, and they had to lay off a lot of people. And then recently, a couple months ago, Anita Sarkeesian put out that tweet about the whole thing with CD Projekt Red, because there was the trans poster incident with people not getting Cyberpunk, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. But
yeah,
it is what it is.
Oh yeah, and that was like her last grasp at being relevant. People just back goodbye.
Nobody talked about it. Like, maybe a few people talked about it, but no, her prominence gone.
But
the damage has been done.
Because eventually, people saw through her and stuff. I mean, if you're genuine, you take off. There's a couple of YouTubers out there who've absolutely taken off because they've been able to evolve from the Gamergate thing. Like, they got their starts at Gamergate, but they were able to evolve and freaking exploded.
Yeah.
And that's talent will out. And then there's some Gamergate people who came to Providence and what did they self-sabotage or something, man. Just and it's too bad.
Yeah.
All learning opportunities. Cracklin for $4.99. Why? Thank you again for the super chat. I always double read. Old 50. By the way, I trimmed the beard. I hope people aren't unsubbing right now. But Mrs. Nerdrotic felt like it was time.
I'm leaving this conversation because you trimmed the beard.
Hey, that's it. But there was actually, birds nesting in there and stuff, so that really needed to.
You gotta watch out for that, man.
Yeah. So I did the same thing last year. I cut it way down last year. So
that was a fierce beard, though.
It was getting long. Thank you. Captain Spire for $10. I think of the enjoyment I got from Spider-Man in the Electric Company show with speech bubbles and fishing nets for webs. I also got a Bester signature from Koenig at the Omaha Con 5 years ago.
Bester's the man.
Koenig is the only thing I could say is he's very tiny, and I didn't know I walked by him. David McBride for Australian $2.99. Melissa McCarthy? No. Just no. Whatever you're bringing her up for, David, no. I did get to see where she lived, though. I was over at my friend John's house, and John was working, so his fiance and I went to the market to go get food. And while we were doing like an exercise walk to the market, very freaking white hipster thing to do. She took me around and showed me where Steve Carell lived in their neighborhood, and Melissa McCarthy lives in like this really unassuming like Brady Bunch house, which was weird. But Steve Carell lives in a giant house that you would think Steve Carell would live in. Toluca Lake.
Unpopular opinion. I don't find Steve Carell all that funny.
I used to. I don't anymore. No. I 40-Year-Old Virgin was the shit. I like that movie, but no. Comedy's dead. I don't even like comedy anymore. The elections ruined so many things in Hollywood, and that's their own damn fault. It's not the election's fault. It's their own damn fault.
No, it's not. It's their own damn fault.
Southeastern,
even before the election, this shit's been going on. Yeah, I mean, comedy has been dying for a while.
Yeah, but it has. But it had a time. It was doing really good, and then it just bit the dust and died. Because it can't be edgy anymore. Well, actually, there is edgy comedy. It's just not coming from Hollywood.
No,
you got to go out there and look for it. There are places that are very funny on the interwebs. But again, it's just not from Hollywood. And maybe that's the direction we're taking for scripted stuff as well. Might as well recycle former doctors and give Eccleston another shot. One season was simply not enough of if Nurse Who gets a third. Nurse Who. Southeastern Kaiju for $5. I couldn't agree more. I would love to see them go back and give McGann another season. Eccleston, the thing is, though, Eccleston, I wanted him for more, but it's almost perfect what he did. I personally, I think that was the best performance anybody ever gave as a doctor. He's not my favorite doctor because he wasn't there long enough, but as far as acting performances for that type of doctor, I think that was the best acting ever done in Doctor Who.
Yeah, I like him. I haven't seen him in anything recently, though. I think it was like the last thing that I recall big that he did was Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah, I think he was in The Leftovers, but I didn't see it. He's notoriously difficult to work with, and I think
that's what I've heard. Yeah,
he's a method actor. What was the best movie that had a terrible trailer?
Okay, one that comes to mind is Super Troopers, because I saw the trailer and I was like, this movie looks fucking stupid. And then some friends of mine was like, no, you got to watch it. It's hilarious. And it was funny.
Yeah, I remember watching Braveheart, and it just it looked ridiculous. I just thought that looks freaking stupid and ridiculous, and I ended up loving the movie. So it might have just been my judgment, but that's the best movie with a terrible trailer. But if you look back at any trailer back in the 80s and 70s, they're all pretty terrible. They're cut pretty horribly.
Oh God, even you look at the original Star Wars trailer.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, it's fucking horrible. But that was the time period, though.
Oh, but you know what? At the time, I remember seeing the Blade Runner trailer, and it had the Vangelis theme in the back, and it showed Pris flipping, and I'm just like, this looks like the greatest thing ever made. And it was. Yep. And it was. There was a TV trailer. Look for that one. There's another one. I can't remember it, Nina Fabiano, for $5. There is another one that I saw the trailer. I'm like, that looks like the dumbest fracking movie in the world, and it became like an all-time classic. Might have been Titanic, but that was the general sentiment. If everybody remembers, everybody was predicting Titanic was going to be the biggest flop of all time. It was going over budget. It was like, there was tons of accidents on the sets and stories of James Cameron being a jerk, and everybody was predicting it was going to be like another Heaven's Gate, and it wasn't. It made all the money and then some. Tim Riggs, Kit Harington as Wolverine, but she's Majin. Oh, yes.
Oh,
she's Majin.
That's terrible. Oh, I gotta ask you, man. Hudson Hawk, great or awful?
I love Hudson Hawk.
I do too. Ha, Christy,
love it.
Take it.
I love it.
Christy and Kalia and myself and Dr. Vankman, we did a review of Hudson Hawk, and of course, Dr. Vankman and myself loved it, and Christy and Kalia didn't care for it.
It's a tough sell. It was one of those movies that was called a flop before it came out, and then I saw it and I'm like, I dug it for what it was.
I thought it was funny as hell.
Yeah. It's really weird.
Yeah.
But I also I love Baron von Munchausen is called a flop by everybody, and is one of my favorite all-time Terry Gilliam movies. I think it's freaking fantastic. I think every second of it is beautiful art and well done. Yes, you have a problem hearing people. Terry Gilliam movies are weird in that way.
No, they really are.
They're almost meant to be watched on drugs. That's the problem. They're produced on a level 8 reality and 10 if you're on acid, and that's why I love them so much. Matrix 4 will be woke. Sam Whiskey, $1.99. I can make an argument that the Matrix are woke. They are woke, especially the sequels. A bunch of so what's left of society is dancing to techno in the center of the earth. Fucking ridiculously woke. But I love the first Matrix. It's a classic movie. It's great. It's one of the best superhero movies ever done, and it's not a superhero movie. I watched that movie like fucking 20 times. I get in the theater and then watched it another 20 times on DVD. By the way, the movie was released in March. It was a success, but it was a major success in the DVD market. It sold a crap load.
Dude, that was like one of the first DVDs I ever owned was The Matrix. SLC Punk being the first DVD I actually got.
There's 2 movies that got sequels because of DVDs from back in that time period. Austin Powers, which didn't do very well at all in the theaters, and was the DVD sales that saved it and got it a sequel, and The Matrix. I remember because I was working at the warehouse at the time.
I'm really curious how they're gonna pull this off with bringing back Keanu Reeves and Moss.
De-aging?
Well, no, just the fact that both their characters are fucking dead.
Oh, they were all in the Matrix the whole time. That's probably what I'm guessing. There's time travel, whatever. I never thought they were really dead at the end. I thought we'd get another one, and we never did. So, but God, it was so bad. It was just so freaking bad. It was terrible. Okay, we've reached the end of the super chat, so we are gonna call it right now. But thanks everybody for sticking in. We had a big crowd tonight. And I know it's normally crowded on Friday night. So thanks for joining us on Friday Night Tights. We're back in schedule. We are back in swing. I meant to count the episodes, but I think I'm closing in on this is like our 100th, or maybe we've passed 100, because I've been doing Friday night since the Punisher season 1.
Wow, that's impressive.
That was my first Friday Night Tights was reviewing Punisher season 1. So been doing it for a long time. So yes, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll make some videos. I don't know. It's like all that D23 announcement, and I just really didn't feel inspired to make a video on a single thing, and I didn't feel inspired to make I don't like doing trailer reactions. I just don't. So I'm not going to do one.
I think the last reaction I did was Solo.
Yeah.
No, well, I guess that's not entirely true. I guess you could say it was The Hunt, technically, which apparently you can't show footage of because my video got regionally blocked because of copyright claim.
Yeah, and that's another reason I don't show it. The last time I did a trailer reaction was Batwoman. They hit me and they didn't relent. So if I do one, it'll be with stills. But yeah, Watchmen, I'm going to be all over. I can't wait for that to premiere, but I can. Batwoman, I'll be all over. But why don't you tell everybody about your channel, my friend?
Well, like Gary, I talk about stuff. Sometimes my stuff can be a little bit more comic book focused. I originally started my channel because of Comicsgate and talking about how terrible Marvel is. But I got to the point where it's like I'm tired of just talking about comics. I want to talk about other things. So I kind of talk about the topic of the week. I have a series of videos planned out, which I have not had an opportunity to. I kind of got derailed by the whole Sony thing with Spider-Man. So I kind of owe one more update video, and then I'm done with it because, apparently when I released my video, like the day I released it, there's all this news that changed with the possible resolution to, Sony and Disney and Spider-Man. So, but I have a series of videos I want to talk about the whole thing with the future is female or entertainment is female, and part of the reason why I'm just completely done with the MCU. And then after that, I want to talk about how I hate fucking modern horror movies and how they're terrible, and how I find Blumhouse to be absolutely terrible when it comes to modern horror movies. So look forward to that at some point in the future.
Excellent. I do look forward to it. And again, thanks for everybody for jumping in. Thank you for all the super chats. We appreciate your support here. The fight will continue, but I will also continue to review stuff. Still in the works is Star Trek Discovery Season 2. It'll probably end up being a Blu-ray review, but I'm going to review the entire season. It's been very difficult to make. It's a long time running.
I can imagine it'd be difficult just to resit through everything.
God, it's terrible. It's terrible.
It's like punching yourself in the face.
It is. It really is. So, and we're also, we've got the Inquisition on my channel this weekend at 6 p.m. with Doomcock. Tomorrow night on Nerdrotic Live, I'll probably do a very late night review of Contact and Ancient Aliens. And then the Nerdrotic Nooners return next week at a regular time at 11 a.m. Pacific time.
Make sure to
that's where they will stay.
Make sure to tell Doomcock, send him my love and tell him he doesn't call me anymore.
I will.
He never calls me.
I mean, what do I look like? Doomcock's secretary? Jesus Christ. Fucking.
You realize I'm trolling
you know what? You can ask us in the chat on Sunday night at 6 p.m. We'll be here. We'll be right here. What the hell was that? Oh, one of my figures just took a dive.
That was my telekinesis.
No, Captain Jack just committed suicide. That was an expensive figure. I hope it didn't occur. Yeah. So if you guys notice real quick, I'm going to put it. The office is damn near done. You see the Orville is up right next to the Enterprise, hanging up. And I constructed this whole wall right here. Now it's not done, obviously, but yeah.
So what did you do with your bookcase?
It's on the other side. It's over here.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. So there you go. It's still a work in progress, but it'll be done on Monday. So thank God. And then we just got to work out the computer issues. So you can't kill Captain Jack. No, you can't. Actually, that's true. One of the weeping angels. Yeah, I've got two weeping angels up there, and then one right behind me. You can see signed by Stephen Moffat. I should throw that. So yes, so there'll be videos out. And I'm sure there's some more D23 news coming. And thank you, Perth Comics. I agree. He says the wall is looking good. So I appreciate that, Perth Comics. And everybody have a great night. Please like, share, and subscribe. Go to nerdrotic.com for my live stream schedule. And not all who wander are lost. Bye-bye, everyone.